like Old Testament that had like that basically was saying, you know, you were allowed to do whatever to other people was a little. I didn't like that. I mean, that's why the Old Testament. But
like what?
I'm pretty sure there was something in there that said if your daughter was with another man or something, you're allowed to stone them to death, like something like that.
Are you talking about all the Old Testament laws? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that's what I mean by the bad stuff. I don't think, like I said, I don't fully believe. I respect people for believing, but I don't fully believe. I don't want to bash anyone's religion, but that's where I disagree, to be honest, because I don't know. I don't think we should be murdering people. I don't think God would tell other people to murder people.
Right. So there's a difference between God's law and then the Jewish law that they wrote for themselves, right? Because you see in the book of John where the lady was caught in adultery and they come to stone her and they took her before Jesus. Thank you for the stickers, guys. And when they brought her before Jesus, what did Jesus say? He said, you without sin, then cast the first stone. So, and Jesus came to fulfill the law. So if the law was supposed to be that you can take these people out and unalive them for that, then why didn't Jesus fulfill that law if he is the fulfillment of that law?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like I said, I don't know. Like, I respect people for I'm never going to bash somebody, especially if it's in good way and good morals, for practicing any religion. But when it gets bad, that's where I do not support it. I don't know. If you're using your religion to persecute somebody, that's where I think you're bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Every religion uses their authority, if you will, in an effort to do bad stuff, but that doesn't make it part of the religion. That's individuals who are power hungry, right? If you actually look at the religion of Christianity, we got a book we got to go by, right? So if they're going against the book, then just because they say they're Christian, it wouldn't make them Christian, right? Like you can't go force people into Christianity because you can't. That's against Christianity. So they wouldn't be Christian if they said they were doing that.
Right.
I think Christianity is the exact opposite of what y'all are talking about right now.
What do you mean?
Well, so my best friend, when I was in third grade, he grew up to become a pastor. And we still talk to this day. And every day he posts a post about, right now he's going through Samuel. He's going through the Bible.
Okay.
Right? And I take those words and I'm like, holy crap. When it reflects on me. But this was not that guy when we were kids, when we were in high school. This is not the same guy, right? Like, he's changed.
Thank you for the stickers, guys.
I don't think any religion should have to force anybody into the religion. Like, it's just a question.
Brother, I said that to begin with, though, and then you kind of said we're saying the exact opposite. So that's exactly what I said. So how is that the exact opposite?
I may have missed that. I just came in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like the last. Sorry. No, it's no problem. It's like the last thing I said to my man there. So it wasn't when you just come in. It's literally the last thing I said to him. People do bad things in the name of religion, but we know if they're doing it for the religion or not. Like, let me give an example. Like the Quran tells Muslims that they should subjugate Christians and make them be subjugated until they're forced to pay the jizya, right? That means Christians have to pay a tax, or not just not just Christians. Well, let me, just in case people in the comment don't know, it's a tax that they're forced to pay, and it's not just Christians. It's anyone that doesn't believe in Muhammad are forced to pay this. So that's in the book. So that would be something that if somebody tries to do, you could say that is the religion doing that. If someone invaded your country and then forced everybody to become Christian at gunpoint, that's not in the book. We know that you cannot force people to believe in their heart and confess with their mouth, right? I can force you to say the words,
Well, as
but I can't
Christians,
force
we
you to
know
believe
that-
in your heart. So that would not be Christianity.
Yeah, as Christians, we know that that's not how it works.
Yeah. I don't know how to say your name, Lee Goblin.
Yep.
Oh, I got it
Hello.
right. What's up, man?
I want to know if you know some pretty good biologists who agree with you.
Do I know some? Yeah.
Can I talk to them?
It depends on if they come up on the panel tonight.
Uh-uh. Because like I don't want to debate you on the topic because I would be smurfing. I want someone on my level who had also educated in biology to make it fair. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you can have a conversation with me, or you can just feel free to sit up here and tell me how smart you are.
Oh, it's not about being smart. It's about being knowledgeable. It's not the same thing.
Okay, so do
Like
do
really
you
smart,
have?
but also very ignorant of some topics, right?
Sure.
Just like
And
you can,
hey, guy, we can get past the insults. If you'd like to have a conversation, we can have it. If you just want to come up here and throw some insults around and show me how intelligent you are, then you're free to go. But I'd like to have a conversation with you.
so when you say evolution is false, are you talking about the modern synthesis theory of evolution?
Right. I believe in, let me define it on my end. So, because obviously I don't have enough room to put everything up here. I believe in,
Well, I guess it would be the current phylogenetic tree, I guess.
I believe in microevolution. I do not believe in macro.
Okay, so what's your phylogenetic tree?
Humans, original kinds.
Cool. What about donkeys?
What about donkeys?
What's
They
their
would be
phylogenetic tree?
they would probably be the horse kind since they can still interbreed. Same with zebras. They can breed with horses.
Mm. hmm But they can't have fertile offspring, though. So it's kind of like genetic dead end. So
Well, some of them can.
I was just saying, how do you know that?
Yeah. Well, he.
Are you an expert?
Hold on, brother. Hold on.
donkey
He is right for
well,
the.
I know horses and donkeys make
Yeah.
mules. So
He
they're
is
generally
right for the most part, but they're not always infertile. Most of them are, but it's not like a. It's not a.
sterile. See, and what that
100%
tells me, creation, is that I think species exist on a spectrum.
Sure. So let me define it more. One of the for evolution to be true as far as macroevolution, I would need to see genetic information gain. Genetic because it has to be able to pass on to its next generation, obviously. Information as far as new codes, new structures, new functions, new DNA, and then it would obviously have to be gained from something that it
that's a
wasn't there
straw
before.
man.
Do you think it would be a requirement for speciation to happen necessarily?
No. So anyway, let me finish that. So you would agree that if we started off as
Just
a
a straw man from an ignorant ancient.
thank you, man. Why don't you just sit there? But listen
Just a
up.
dumb fuck, whatever. That's what you deserve.
All right. Thank you. A great conversation. Appreciate it.
Wow.
So anyway, we would both, you and I would agree that if we went from a single celled organism to a fully functional human, that we had genetic information gain. So I just need to see an example of that that's testable and observable and not inferred.
Like,
Yep, genetic information gain. Don't show me an example of duplication of existing information. I need to see new information. And don't use degradation and then claim that that's evolution.
that's all that happens, creation. It's just application.
No, but
That's
what
what
you're
life
talking
does.
about
It,
is like
it
a
literally
lion.
it literally
Like
can't.
a lion-tiger mix.
Patrick, I got
Yes.
it. Patrick, I got it, man. Thank you, brother.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But if you would have to see genetic information gain, if we went from a single-celled organism does not have all of the information to create a human in it. So if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, given ever how many generations you want me to give you, you have to concede there needs to be genetic information gained there, not just duplicating of existing information.
Creation is because genetic information can duplicate and mutate and recombine in different ways. That's what allows new functions to happen.
Okay, can
Does
you
it require
just
two
can you
to
just
duplicate
brother? I got
or
it.
just one?
Can you just give me an example of that happening, of genetic information gain that's not inferred, and you can't use degradation?
Yeah, like the different cones in our eyes, for example, that take different colors.
Colors are micro, brother. That's existing information. That's not new information. Let me give you an example, right?
Well,
So-
I would argue that seeing the color red is new information, dude.
Where do you have an example of something not seeing red and then going to see red?
Yeah, when it comes to gradients compared to other mammals.
So you're telling me that we had, and this is within our lifetime, something that we can test or observe, apes that couldn't see red and now apes that can see red?
Creation. The point I'm trying to make is that there's different genes that code for different pigments in the eyes.
I get that, but
different colors.
I was very,
right?
I know, brother, I was very clear, but you're
Those are
using,
different variation of the original same gene.
I get it, man, but you're using something that's inferred. So again, let me give an example. One of the
We can
things,
see it in the structure of the gene creation. We see gene duplication happening in living
yeah,
organisms.
I would agree with you that we can see duplication. That's
So we
existing
have a
information.
naturalistic explanation as to how that can happen. We don't need a God for that.
Yeah, but yeah.
You
du-
do word before?
all right, so let me get rid of this guy. I'm sorry. I apologize. So we have,
You lost.
yeah. So duplication is existing information that's duplicated. I'll grant you that. That's duplicated information. Okay. So one of the things that I like to use is bacteria, right? Because we've done the longest running evolutionary experiments, the Linsky experiments on bacteria, and
Well, I mean, they replicate quickly, and
yeah, it takes
there's a lot of them, so you have a lot of different.
Yeah.
You know,
Bacteria
for certain
takes-
mutations to happen and appear. So
yeah, bacteria literally takes your millions of years away. So why is it that long ago and far away we see all this information
Millions of-
gained,
I mean,
but in
no,
bacteria we see
before.
brother? Let me get it out, and then you can respond to it. Okay. I said, so why is it that
billions.
why is it that we've been doing these long running evolutionary experiments, and in the same generational count that we went from ape to man, why is it that in bacteria we get worse off degraded bacteria?
What do you mean we get worse off bacteria?
We see bacteria degraded in all the longest running evolutionary experiments. We see degradation, not information gain.
What about like spontaneous antibiotic resistance?
That's a great question. Do you think that's evolution?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay. Is it degrading or is it information gain?
But it depends how you define information. But there's a new phenotype that appears.
Yeah. So great. So there's two answers to the antibiotic resistance in bacteria. One, it did not evolve from it, and we know that it did not evolve because the antibiotic resistance predated the invention of antibiotics. Are you aware of that?
That could happen. You could have a gene that's turned back on. That can happen.
Yes, but that means that it did not evolve from it, right? It didn't evolve from, antibiotic resistance did not evolve from the introduction of antibiotics because the resistance predated the invention of antibiotics, correct?
Sometimes it does.
Brother,
You have
come on.
horizontal gene transfer.
I get
between
it, man,
bacteria.
but come on,
Sometimes it can
brother.
allow-
This is you come in here, no disrespect, but you're going to tell me how smart you were. So let's just answer directly. It could not have
I
evolved
am
from
doing my best to answer you correctly as a biologist, Creation.
Okay.
If you don't like it, I can leave.
No, you can stay, but I want you to also be able to follow. And it could not have evolved from antibiotic resistance, could not have evolved from the introduction of antibiotics because the resistance was here first. Once I get you to concede this, because they
So what do you mean by that? Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah,
at a
sure.
genetic level?
sure. So they I think it was Itsy Man, if I'm not mistaken, could be wrong on the name, but it was a frozen caveman, very famous guy. They reanimated some of the bacteria that was in his gut, and it has the resistance to the antibiotics in it already. Meaning that bacteria, when it was frozen inside of him before the invention of antibiotics, had the resistance. You can also find
Cool.
this.
Do you have a source for that, like a scientific?
Sure, it's also you can also find it in permafrost. Give me a second, I'll find it for you.
Like, can you like DM me like the DOI?
I mean, you can just do a real quick Google search on this, brother, and ask for sources, and it'll give it to
Nah,
you.
I'm not just gonna do it. Google. First of all, you should have said Google Scholar, and that's sus. The fact that you just said that.
I said you can ask for sources. You can ask it a question and give me sources, and then you can go to the site yourself. Is what I said, not just
Right,
Google
you
on its
shouldn't-
own.
You shouldn't recommend people use Google. You should recommend people use Google Scholar.
Then use whatever you want to, brother. You're still going to find out that the antibiotic resistance predated it.
Christian, what's the difference between searching something on Google and Google Scholar? Can you
All
explain
right,
it?
man.
real
Yeah,
quick?
have a good one, brother. We've gone as far as we can go. If you cannot see, since you're so educated, thank you for being really educated. I don't know what they're teaching in colleges today, brother, but if the antibiotic resistance predated it, then it didn't evolve from it. And if you can't concede that, there's nothing we can talk about. You're so educated that we cannot clearly continue this conversation. We can't. Yeah, I don't know anything. Go look that up, and I promise you, you'll find out that you are factually inaccurate about that, and I'm right. hold on, I got a second. Jay was in here next. I can't see your whole name there, brother.
It's Jadinsky.
What's up, Jadinsky?
Hey man, you know what I do nowadays? I go downtown and I talk to Jehovah's Witnesses. I myself used to be a Jehovah's Witness,
Okay.
but now I got smart, and it's kind of crazy because, like, I mean, obviously there's like everyone wants to be so smart and everything, but for me, it's like my smartness, it led me back to the Bible. Like after all, like, you know, the Bigfoot, are aliens real? No, right? The Bible just talks about fallen angels, so that's where I stand.
Okay. You got a question in there anywhere?
Do you believe in flat Earth?
No.
Why, man?
I think flat earthers leech off of young earth guys, and I don't dislike flat earthers. Let me say it like that. I just, everything is a conspiracy. And when I like to show somebody that evolution is not true, just like my man there, and when I told him that the antibiotic resistance predated it, and it didn't matter what I say, he wasn't going to listen, because anytime I brought up something, he's going to be like, just don't use Google, blah, 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 whatever. My point is that whenever I talk to somebody, I try to use facts, and I'll use sourcing, right? I'll look it up and tell them about it. But my thing with flat earthers is the only argument that real flat earthers have that I've seen, and I don't want to get anecdotal, is everything's a conspiracy, and everybody that used to believe like them has now been paid off. If I ask you, what about the final experiment? You know, you can go watch the YouTube videos and stuff where they took these prominent flat earth guys and took them to the, you know, Antarctic so they could see the 24-hour sun. And I've had 4 or 5 discussions with flat earthers now, and the only thing they say is they've been paid off, and they have no evidence of that, nothing to bring to the table as far as science is concerned. The moon is a luminous light. It's not a rock, but when you zoom in on this luminous light, it has craters on it. I don't know how you put a crater on a light. It's kind of weird to me. And I think that flat earthers are hurting our cause, to be honest with you, because they believe some really weird stuff, man. Just being honest.
That's interesting because, you know, when they say, oh, yeah, they were paid off, like, I know this one guy who wasn't paid off. His name is Austin Whitsitt. And all the other guys, you know, you could say they're paid off. That's fine. But because, like, this guy literally switched his whole worldview overnight. And I think it's because he'd be there, like, social pressures that could really get to you, like, you know, tribal pressures. Or, like, basically just, I mean, it's just really tough. You got people out here preserving their lives because, you know, whether they need money for, like, the PhD and to support their family, you know. They don't want to lose their credibility. And then you have something like the guy who's like a fire earther for 10 years, who's like has all the eyes on him at once. I mean, you don't know really what would happen, you know?
Yeah, but what
the other guy? No, he kept his position. He didn't get paid off.
Imagine
Austin Whitsitt is the GOAT.
when I use to talk to an evolutionist, I use their own experiments against them, right? Like I use the bacteria, the fact that it's degrading over time. Imagine if my argument was every time an evolutionist come up here and say, why don't you believe in evolution? And I went, well, all the scientists that believe in evolution are just paid off. I wouldn't get very far because there's no real information in that statement other than me just making it and not being able to support it. So that's just my viewpoint.
So I shudder to use the term, but to devil's advocate, I agree with you on flat Earth. I extend it to the flood myth, and it feels like every time I talk to a biblical person, they don't have evidence of the flood myth because there is no evidence of the flood myth.
You okay?
And then they fall into that same category of argument where you're not arguing facts.
Okay, yeah.
You know. True.
That his interview was still on. Wow, what's the matter?
Well, I mean, I believe that there was a flood in a region that the source material was taken from. I think it was a river flood.
Yeah.
You know, probably in
Yeah.
But I don't, and I think maybe a guy, you know, got his family and was able to save his livestock and the story grew in the telling. But I definitely know 2 by 2 every animal on Earth, blah, blah, blah. That's completely impossible.
Okay, I'll let him know.
It wasn't global either. I mean, if it was global, you'd see a geologic record.
All right, I'll let him know.
Right.
Yeah, I'll text it to him.
Flood. I've seen evidence from North Africa. His Is
All right.
really like there's just not a lot of evidence for a
Okay.
global flood.
Right.
I'll tell
Or
you.
misinterpreted
Thank you.
evidence, like fossil evidence. Sea life on a mountain.
All right, I'm sorry, guys. When that phone rings, I have to answer it. So I apologize. I apologize, Bear. So
The floor is you guys.
I got you. So you said the same thing happens with flood guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, in my experience, that same disconnect of a rational argument where you go, okay, and you point out the clear flaws, and then people go to pseudoscience and say, oh, it was all the animals because there's root animals, and you go, no, none of that's true, and it's relying on like the Earth only being 2,000, 6,000 years old when it's verified that it's millions, all that stuff. The exact same evidence that makes flat earthers ridiculous human beings.
Sure. So let me hold on, brother. I get you. So before we go off on too many rabbit trails, and I got to chase them down. Which one would you like to attack first? Because you said a lot there.
Age of the Earth.
All right, sure. What dating techniques are you using to get these great ages?
I know that it is more than 6,000 years old.
I know.
I'm not a scientist beyond that, but I know
Bear,
it's not. And I know
Bear.
that everybody-
I know is not an argument, okay? Because if I just say, I would just,
Give me your evidence that it's 6,000
I
years
would
old.
just respond back and say, I know that it's not. So if you don't know, okay. So the two dating techniques, unless you have something else that you'd like to bring to the table that I'm aware of that they use, is no. Just let me get it out, and then you can respond to it. Okay. It's the geologic column and then radiometric dating. The geologic column, those dates, they had no scientific way of quote unquote getting those dates. So they literally just assigned those dates based on how old they thought they were.
It's not true. It's not true at all.
Okay. So, all right, hold on.
I'm in school for geology. Can I respond?
Yes. If you stop
They don't just use. They don't use nothing. It's not like they're just basing it on.
I got you. Here's how this works. Okay, guys. I know I'm kind of in the way right there, but right here you have to answer questions directly, and then if you make a claim, you're going to have to support it. One of those things that we do here, at least that I'm going to control on this page, is if I'm talking or if you're talking, I will try not to interrupt. I don't mind a little bit every now and again if we're on topic, but I literally hadn't got it out yet, and you're already interrupting. Okay.
But he had already just refuted you.
How did he refute me? I didn't even hear what. Who refuted me?
The gentleman who's a geologist who said what you just said was not true.
Okay, you see, I would be able to hear that if you would wait till I'm done talking and then you respond to it, because I didn't hear any of that.
You overtalked him when he said it, sir.
Because I was talking. I was the one doing the talking there, hero.
Your misinfo comment.
All right. Okay. All right. So how am I wrong in that?
Listen, okay, so I'm in school for environmental geology and geographic information systems. It's not just a guess the age of these things. Oh, someone's talking.
Yeah, I muted him up. Go ahead, brother. I apologize.
It's not just random how we guess how the layers formed, how the fossil record formed.
I didn't say
We
that.
have evidence.
Please don't straw man my position. You can. I didn't say it was random. I said that there was no scientific method. But before I got to expound on that, that's when I was interrupted. So I didn't get to finish it. So that's why you're now saying something I clearly didn't say. But continue, please.
All right. Well, there is a scientific process.
Yeah. So their scientific process during the geologic column was to see how much time it took for rivers to lay down sediment, and then heat up iron balls and see how long it took to cool off. Does that sound real scientific?
That's what that is. That's not the only thing they did. And I would argue that's more scientific than paraphrasing.
I don't mind in going into the science, but let's let him get through it. Go ahead, Jack. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Well, you're just saying that the geologic scientific method isn't valid. So, I mean, they measure sediment layers, they measure ice cores, they measure fossils across the world and match them up together for approximate age. They have carbon dating, uranium dating.
They had.
Sediment patterns.
All right, hold on, man. Don't.
Based on
I get you.
biomes,
Let's do,
different structures.
guy. Let's do one at a time, please. You're naming 50 things there. Let's do one at a time.
Because they're all important to the overall
Was
measurement of age.
the geologic column? All right, man. Have a good one. You don't want to have a conversation. Get off my stage. This is absolutely frustrating. It's so frustrating, guys, because I can sit here and tell you, but you're not listening. What evidence? What evidence, Bear? What evidence? What evidence did he bring? The nuh-uh.
And you interrupted him when
All
he
right.
was giving you the evidence.
All right, get off my
You
stage.
understand it.
Get off my stage. God, this is so frustrating. You guys have no manners. You don't know how to listen. And your argument is, yes, it does. So the geologic column, and then we went to radiometric dating, and then we went to bones and all of these different things. The geologic column was invented before any of these dating techniques, guys. 100% accurate. The geologic column was invented before of these. Charles Lyell, the quote unquote father of geology, who introduced a lot of this geologic column, excuse me. He's not the sole inventor of it, but he's called the father of modern day geology because he introduced what they called uniformitarianism. Okay, the way that things are now is the way that things have always been. And he is quoted as saying he wanted to free geology from Moses. Got a lot of background noise there, brother. I'm going to mute you up.
Contradict any of the radiometric data.
So I'll get you to radiometric dating. Thank you. I'll get to that. But the individual who quote unquote helped push this geologic column being great ages is literally quoted. He want to free the science from Moses. So they took iron balls, they heated them up and took how long it took to cool off. And then they said, okay, well, the earth is this hot. And they compared that to the iron ball, and it's this big, so it must have took this long to cool off. That's pseudoscience silliness. Then the other one, which you could say is actually part of science, is they seen how long it took sediment to get laid down. Now, you are factually incorrect, sir, before I kicked you, before they said that they compare all of these things. The geologic column dates have not changed. That's what they compare everything else to, because those dates were set. The geologic column date hasn't changed. They haven't changed the date of the Jurassic, the Thoracic, or the Cretaceous. They haven't changed those dates. And those dates were literally just assigned to it. Now,
I'm sure they've changed them before. They changed the period of the Precambrian. They changed the Cambrian. I've also got to ask you.
I got you.
So you stated them, but what are the methods of radiological dating that you think they have, and what the ones you have contention with?
I got you. Say it again. I missed the first part of that.
Yeah. So what are the radiometric dating techniques that you know, and the ones you have a contention with?
I have a contention with all of them. The one I would say I'm probably the most familiar with that I talk about a lot is carbon-14. That's just because it's the most common. But all of them, every single one of them, you have to assume the parent material in it to know how much you're comparing against.
Okay. So what about like the main one that's used is uranium lead dating?
Sure.
Which is the zircon crystals, which just lead cannot form in zircon crystals. We know this, so the only way that we're able to see lead within zircon crystals is if they've decayed from uranium. You can see from the percentage of the lead and the uranium, you can see when it was formed.
You still have to assume how much parent material it had in it when it was begin with. How do you know that it all started off as the parent material? Or I could say that 10% of it was already lead when it started. You don't know that. You have to assume the parent material.
Because zircon cannot form from lead. Like lead, just the chemical structure does not work with lead. You can try it, you can see all the things.
You also can't have polonium halos in there too, brother, but they exist, which shows that the rock was never molten, or you couldn't have polonium halos.
Okay, and the other one, which I think is quite cool, is argon-argon dating or argon-potassium dating.
Wait, brother, don't just move on from that. You still have to assume the parent material.
What do you mean?
You have to know how much was in it that it decayed into. If you don't know how much parent material was there, say it again.
Yeah, so from the zircon crystals, you can tell because of the amount of lead in there that no lead.
You don't know if there would. You don't know if it started off. How do you not know that it was 50-50 when it started?
Because lead cannot enter crystals.
No, you don't. You don't know. You don't know that. You don't know the parent material. You have to assume the parent material.
You can make zircon crystals, and you can see that they don't work with lead. They only work with uranium.
I think what he's trying to say is like zircon crystals can't form initially with that much lead present. That the lead can only enter into the crystal later due to uranium decay.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Just so, okay. Just for like me, I don't know much about.
But regardless, I can still tell you. What if I told you that when it started off, it was 50-50? You still don't know that. You have to assume that.
But that's going directly against what both of us have just said.
Wait, 50% like lead, 50% uranium?
Yeah, if it you have to assume how much parent material was in it.
No, but what Sci Stuff is saying is the crystals can't form with lead present.
Oh, my bad. I forgot that. I already kicked that idiot. I apologize.
Sorry, I think what Sci Stuff is saying is that the crystals can't form with lead in the parent material. That the lead can only be introduced later due to the decay of uranium.
And additionally, I think evolution is a good example because of molten metal. Basically, when it's molten, the argon becomes gas and it just escapes out. So any argon that's trapped within it.
Yeah, but then you have polonium halo.
And the molten kind of condenses and makes a sedimentary rock.
I get it, but you're inferring that it used to be molten, but you have polonium halos in it that prove that it couldn't have been molten. So how do you get past that?
I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, it's called polonium halos. They exist if the rock is molten, then they decay outrageously quickly. I mean, really quick. It shows that the rock could have never been molten to begin with, or you couldn't have had polonium halos in it. So again, that's why when we have to assume the parent material on all of these radiometric dating, and again, you're assuming that they started off full crystal and then half of it decayed or whatever into lead.
So
it's uranium into lead, right?
I'm not stating the same point for the third time, but with the argon, for example, that's something where because when it's molten, the argon will escape. Then when it condenses, it gets trapped. So one of those things, it's like a pretty solid point in time. Because you're right, you can't make with rock that's been quite old. You can't. So it has to be stuff that's molten, that's formed sedimentary. And it's a pretty good way of checking because argon to argon, you can't look at really old. All this stuff in my eyes, it's like a timeline.
Yeah, but you
go further and further back. But with like the lead uranium, you can't get an exact date. You can have a rough estimate, but it's like it's a big thing.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem that I got. If this dating technique works so well, then why do you have to come up with all of these different fields in science in an effort to make it work? Because we know that it doesn't work. On items of known age, it doesn't work. It's always assumed to work on items of unknown age.
So how do you know something's age if you say radioelectric dating doesn't work?
That's my point. Like, for example, all right, good question. So one example was the carbon-14 dating of, what was it? The Repton Viking burial site, right? The Viking, we could date the site by the coins that they had, right? If I had a 1996 coin in my pocket, then that means that I clearly unalived after 1996, right? It puts a hard date on it. So the Repton Viking burial site. And they have to keep coming up with these different fields because the radiometric dating doesn't work. And this one is called the marine reservoir effect. Are you familiar?
I'm going to get a source. I'm actually not familiar with this.
Yeah, so the marine reservoir effect is it's the two individuals that come up with carbon-14 dating got the Nobel Peace Prize for it, if I'm not mistaken. And so they when they did their math, they determined that a new planet popped into existence and it would take about 10,000 years for the planet to become carbon neutral. And they assumed that the planet was already carbon neutral. And now if the planet was carbon neutral, then theory, carbon-14 would work because you would absorb carbon-14. You know, the plants absorb carbon-14 and the animals eat the plants and other animals eat the animals that eat the plants. So they absorb carbon-14. So as long as the planet is carbon neutral, meaning as much carbon coming into the planet is the same amount that's burning away, then, and the decay rate is constant, then it should remain the same. Your science should work perfectly. And that's the theory. The only problem is that when they did the math, they said, okay, it would take 10,000 years for a planet to become carbon neutral. So therefore we don't have to worry about the carbon neutral problem. And they just assumed that the planet is carbon neutral, but we know that the planet is not carbon neutral. And radiometric carbon-14 dating does not work. So they have to come up with these other fields. And one of them being the marine reservoir effect. So old carbon in the oceans, in the oceans, carbon collects different than in the atmosphere. We know this now. And right. So if you have something that you're going to carbon-14 test an animal's leg, right? Just to make it simple. You're going to carbon-14 this animal's leg that you found in the ground. So the problem is now is you have to know if it was ever in the ocean, if it ever had salt water on it, because that brings in old carbon. Then you have to determine where it was at in the ocean, because if it was around any uplift, that'll put old carbon in it. If it was around any currents, that'll put old carbon in it. And depending on where it was at in the world, the carbon content will be different. Here's the kicker. You also have to understand what their diet was, because if they ate seafood, the marine reservoir effect takes that into account also. And the reason why, hold on, bro. I'm almost done with this. The reason why the Repton Viking burial site, they were off by centuries and they said they were off because the Vikings ate seafood. So now you have to know, and then you got the Hallset Plateau. You got problems with that. You know, solar storms or solar flares can put more or less carbon into the atmosphere. So now you have to determine how old it is and how many solar flares it had that put carbon into the atmosphere. The assumptions are outrageous, and I hadn't even got to wiggle matching yet.
Okay, so what I'm getting from all this is that the original idea of carbon dating, it assumed the most ideal condition, which is like perfectly carbon neutral, that a planet would only take 10,000 years to become carbon neutral. And all the stuff that you brought up with like the ocean, like old carbon in the ocean being introduced into the diets of animals, solar flares producing more carbon-14 in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
These are we live in a very chaotic universe. Like random events like this happen that kind of skew the scale, like it make things unstable. So I think the reason that they've had to actually do the research into understanding all the parameters that went into like understanding the diet of the people, et cetera, is because it's carbon-14 dating isn't cut and dry, super simple. Just look at the amount of carbon-14. To get the most accurate result, you got to take in as much data as you can. So I don't see this as bad science. I see this as actually good science.
Right. So if you don't know, I got you, brother. So what you?
Can I add on something?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. So let me just respond to that, and then I'll let you respond, and then 10-4. So I kind of get what you're saying, but no. If you don't know how many solar flares to compare it to, so what you can do is you can extrapolate how many solar flares, thank you for the stickers, are in a year, right? And then you could extrapolate that over how many years to try to say, okay, this was how many solar flares that we had during this year. So we'll just continue that math straight out, and that will help us give us a rounding number. The only problem is you don't know how old it is. So how many solar flares do you have to take into account? You don't know unless you're already assuming the age. You don't know how many solar flares to take into account unless you already assume the age. That's a problem.
I feel like you still can extrapolate like a little bit, because even if you're not taking, even if you don't know like the exact age, you know more or less like a range of like how old the specimen.
That is a great question. Now, how do you know that?
The solar flares.
Nathaniel, that is perfect. How do you know that? And my contention would be it's located.
Was saying earlier, you can cross compare with other radiometric datings.
Right.
To get like a range.
They do it in the geologic column. It's called index fossils.
Yeah, but additionally, so I just have to say, this thing you're talking about is a real effect. So the first thing you mentioned about the Vikings.
I know it's a real thing.
Cretaceous website.
Of course, I mentioned it.
Find any other sources other than like Cretaceous today. But the thing you're mentioning is a real phenomenon. Luckily, you can account for it. There are a lot of
brother. There is no way.
Where you're able to account exactly for.
You cannot account for that. There is no way that you can account for that. I give you a dog leg and I tell you to test it. You're telling me that you can account for it because so you know what diet it had? You know what diet it had to take into account the marine reservoir effect.
You know, the region said, the water. It's a consistent phenomenon. You were able to then use it and put it into calibration curves and then change things.
Oh, and okay, calibration curves. Do you know how they get these curves? Like, are you familiar with wiggle matching?
I'm pretty sure you compare it to the other ones, because it's a stable thing and because it's predictable and based on all of the other thousands.
Right. So I want you to look this up too, brother. I want you to look this up too, because if you know how they get these calibration curves, they get scientists together. Now, I'm sure they're really smart. I'm not saying that they're not smart. They get these scientists together and they match these. It's called wiggle matching. You look, it's also done in tree rings. It's done in clams or anything that puts on an additional ring. They get together and then they decide what the date is going to be. And then they assign it that date. You can go online right now and look at the curve. It's the curve that everybody uses. All the scientists use to compare their dates to is based off of the curve that they get. They just get together and assign it. Yes, it is. And now you've made several statements that you can't support. Like, we can take into account science. You cannot tell me that you know what everything that you're dating, you knew its diet. I do not believe you. But you're saying we know its diet, so we can take that into account. And we know if it was in, all right, man, I know you're not listening because I'm not getting it out. So how can you listen if I'm not getting it out?
I'm saying, yeah, you don't know diet. I don't know enough about it, so I think we should move on to another one.
Fair enough. But I mean, but when we just leave, let me end this point right here. And then, so if anybody in the comments is listening, you have to, if you're doing the marine reservoir effect, you have to take into account their diet of whatever. If you're doing an animal, you have to take into account its diet. And then you have to take into account if it was ever covered up in water. And then you have to know if it was buried next to currents or uplift or what part of the ocean it was in to determine how much old carbon will be put in it. And that the assumptions are outrageous. But fair enough. We'll move on. What else you got?
I mean, I'm studying genetics. Things like evolution, that things. Be more things that I kind of know more about.
You're studying genetics. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Like evolution as a whole. I heard stuff earlier about what, like,
Did you
unable to acquire new traits, or was it unable to acquire new genes?
Right. Okay. So did you hear my definition about what I would kind of need to see if evolution was true?
Sure.
Did you hear it, or do you need me to say it again?
No, can you please just love it again?
Sure. No problem. No problem. All right. So I do believe in microevolution. I do not believe in macroevolution. So microevolution is just changes within the same kind. I believe in mutation and I believe in duplication and all that. I do not believe in macro. Okay. So for me to see my base definition would have to be genetic information gain. It would have to be genetic because you'd have to pass it on to your children, new information as far as new structures, new code, new function, new DNA. And then it would have to be gained from something that wasn't there before, obviously. And I think you and I would.
I disagree.
Thank you for disagreeing. So I think you and I would both agree that if we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, that we had to have genetic information gain. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, if you believe in macroevolution, then everybody would have to agree, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay, I mean, first of all, there's no distinction between micro and macro, just different scales. But you've probably heard that a million times. But I mean, like, we stuff you're able to see, even within humans, you can see gain of function. Like, have you heard of the Baju tribe?
You're talking really low, brother. Have I heard what?
Have you heard of the Baju tribe?
No, not that I'm aware of.
They have 20% larger spleens, and they are able to hold their breath for like 7 to 8 minutes, something insane.
Okay.
Because they've been adapted to it. They were isolated, and they've had these large morphological changes.
I got you, brother. I don't want to disrespect you by cutting you off, but I agree with micro. So a spleen turning into a larger spleen is not evolution. That's micro. I agree with that. You can train that. That's you can do that. We can breed.
That's not adaptation.
You can breed
adapt to
that.
a larger spleen. You can't do that within a few generations.
Well, sure you can. It's not necessarily just a few generations, but you can do it in generation times that we can count because y'all said that it happened. This is one of the reasons I love to use bacteria because bacteria takes your millions of years away, right? Evolution is not based off of time. It's not millions and millions of years. It's based off a generational count, right? If you're able to reproduce really quickly and pass on that information to the next generation, then that's what causes evolution. You pass on those mutations. It's literally not just, every million years, then that turns a switch and we see something new. It's literally based on, people just think of long periods of time because most of the things that we observe with long generational counts, it would take that long. But we have bacteria that can give us 9 generations in a single day. So why is it?
Bacteria are kind of funny because their evolution, people are still like super confused over that because they're almost in a constant state of adapting. They don't have like a stable environment. Everything's changing all the time. But like there's something, because if you heard less than 1% of advantageous mutations actually get fixed. The bigger the population, the less like that is because there's just more stuff that has to spread through.
Yeah, but when we look at but they always do it through degradation, brother. Not, I don't want to say always. Sometimes just micro, and I'll give you that. But what we test and observe.
Yeah. So do you know bats and mice? That's a good example. Bats and mice are pretty closely related to each other. Do you know how a tiny thing of the bat, its little arms, can turn into full bat wings in a really short period of time? Would you consider that as quite big evolution?
Well, what term? I can't, brother. You're
mice feet.
Mice
turning into mice wing.
Mice feet.
Like little arms.
Yeah.
Into bat wings.
Mice feet turn into bat wings. Where does this happen at?
Yeah. This happened quite recently. Well, not like but in the sense of evolution, they're quite closely related. And
Wait.
to see exactly what changes occurred, which isn't that many.
Brother, wait. Where do you see that mice feet turned into bat wings? I'm totally confused. Where is this at?
Because bats and mice are quite closely related.
Okay, and you can. I understand you're
And
saying
we're
that.
able to see exactly
Can- do you-
what changes cause it because
Okay,
we're
so
able to
this
see those
is
changes
s-
in mice.
Sci-fi. So this is not something that you test and observe. You're clearly inferring that.
There it is.
Okay, where?
We can see exactly because some mice can have the mutations that cause it, and some humans can get it too. Sin polydactyly.
That
is a
gives
good
us
example.
bat wings.
Sin polydactyly.
Side stuff. Hold on, brother. Here's my thing. I know I'm covering it up right now, but we have to answer. We have to answer directly. And if you make a claim, then I want you to support it. So this is not some science. I want you to answer. Where is you getting this that bats turned in or mice turned into bats? And I asked you if that was inferred or observed, and you said it's observed. So now I want you to support that claim. Where is that observed?
Of course. So there were a bunch of experiments that have come out, and it's shown that slight changes within the BMP2 pathway. Basically, what happens is, as it grows, they have increased length within, I think, HOX11. They've got slight mutations within there. They have also within BMP2. What this usually does is it's what gives us our hands, because everything grows out as a big nub. And then when it gets to the end, a bunch of apoptosis or BMP2 mediated apoptosis will occur. I think it's FGF8 and other ones. They basically make a big cycle of apoptosis. If you go into it, it's really cool because they do like epigenetic stuff. Anyway, as it goes in, you're able to see that their mutation caused it so that instead of that deletion, it just doesn't occur. So there's no apoptosis, meaning that the things will stay. And you also have increased growth because the HOX11, I think, will just keep on growing a little bit further and expand that region and expand basically the finger growth. And we're able to see this. Humans have a similar thing where it's mutations within FGF8 and also mutations, I think, with Sonic the Hedgehog as well, where they're able to get this.
Did you just say Sonic the Hedgehog?
It's really dumb. It's so bad. It's a gene called Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's responsible for a lot of diseases.
Okay.
And
First I heard of that.
Someone named it Sonic the Hedgehog, so now you've got to go to people with a nasty disease like, yeah, sorry, you've got Sonic the Hedgehog disease.
All right, so I'm looking at an experiment because you just said a bunch of stuff and you didn't really provide me anything I could look at. So I typed this in, and you're free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no experiment where mice produce bat wings, unless you got something that I am. What did happen is they were able to get the mice's forelimbs to grow slightly bigger, bone growth and cells divided a bit faster, but they didn't grow wings. So
and the webs as well. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying is you're able to see with the
no, hold on, brother. Nope. I am very clear with my language, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I ask you if this was observed or if you inferred that mice had bat wings, and you stated, quote, this was observable. And then when I ask you to substantiate that, now you're wanting to tell me that long ago and far away this happened. So you're inferring that it's not testable and observable, is it?
I believe you've misheard me.
Okay, I asked you twice. I'm pretty sure this is recorded, so you might have to come back later and watch a clip.
It's disrupting feedback loops within the SSH and FGF8 pathways within mice.
Great. Do we have any mice producing bat wings?
Please look it up.
Right. So it's not testable and observable. You're inferring long ago and far away that these mutations caused bat wings. Right?
I mean, are you considering like proximity to be like just like visually different, right? Like animals that look visually different from like another animal, or are you considering evolution to be like genetically different, right? Because like there's animals that are closely visually similar.
I get it, brother.
Entirely genetically different.
I gave my definition earlier. If you wasn't in here, it's fine. I can do it again.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that, sir.
No problem. I would need to see genetic information gained.
Or are you just saying it's false?
Okay, yeah. So, like, you know, for example, right, like, I think hyenas and wolves, right, like, you would expect, like, a hyena and a dog or something to be, like, closely related, right? But hyenas are, like, actually more closely related to some, I'm gonna look it up, but they're, like, closely related to some other fucking animal that looks, like, completely different than a fucking dog.
Okay.
It might be a dolphin or some shit. But, you know, like, that's an example of, like, they're genetically, genetically, they are more different than the creature that they look visually more similar to. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because,
well,
like,
I got you, brother. I just need to see genetic information gained that's testable and observable that's not inferred. And again, that's why I love the bacteria, because in all of the years we've been doing the experiments, what we see is degradation. We don't see information gain. And then my brother down here brought up mice and bat wings, but unless you got something more substantial, I'm not seeing mice.
I do.
Okay.
It's a study. It's called Second Expression of SSH within mice. Within.
I can't hear you. You went off the app. I can't hear you, brother. You went off the app.
SSH within the bat wing.
I didn't hear science. You went off the app, I think. I didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, of course. So second wave expression of SSH enables bat limb formation. It's in developmental biology.
And this created bat wings?
Look it up.
I am looking up some of the stuff you told me, and it said that it lengthened the mouse's limb bones slightly, changed the digit number or spacing, excuse me, and altered the webbing between the digits. That's not a bat wing.
So what is the difference then? Because you can
What do you don't know what the difference is between a rat's arm and a bat wing is?
Mutations within the mice. It can happen because at the end of the day, the difference between the mice wing and the bat, also the mice and the bat, is due to increase of that area and due to webbing of the fingers.
Webbing of the fingers is not there. Brother. I've gone through this. You know, I've had a good conversation with you, and I appreciate it. But we're kind of going nowhere now. People are born with webbed fingers all the time. It's not a bat wing. And if you can get webbed fingers to grow into mice, it's not a bat wing. And I think you're being very disingenuous and dishonest when you claim that that's a bat wing.
Well, are you trying to see like a lab grown like experiment of this, or are you willing to take like?
It's not, brother. Why do you keep asking me? This is not my claim. This is his claim that mice have produced bat wings.
His claim, it doesn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Both of you are talking at the same time. Can't hear anyone. All right, I got you. Listen, hey, let me wrap this up. Science, I do appreciate you coming, okay, man. But I'm gonna move on to the next guest, okay, brother?
Yeah, Chris.
You just tore my entire point because you didn't read
No,
the paper.
sorry, I'm trying to make it more. Sorry, you're not getting it. Not understanding what you're saying here.
The limb development, all these things, you know. Anyway.
How did? Okay, hold on. How did I straw man your position? I read what it produced. It produced lengthened arms in mice, digit change / number of spacing, and altered webbing between digits.
And that's literally like what you need. I don't know what I'm telling you, mate.
And that's okay. Wait a minute. Jeremiah, if you unmute one more time, brother, if you unmute one more time after I mute you 4 times in a row, do it one more time. All right. So science, I get, brother. This is why you just claimed that I strawmanned your position. I went over what I said, and you said that's exactly what it needs. So I'll ask you again, because I think we can disagree with each other and not be rude. How did I straw man your position if I literally just read it off again and you said that's exactly what it needs? How is that straw manning?
Because my initial argument, as it's saying, is that the differences that form the bat wing from the mice thing is it's got elongation of certain bones, certain things expand out, and there's webbing. The fingers don't develop.
So
and
that's
okay. You then read the paper and went, I saw all it said was the bones extend out, there's webbing of the finger, and there's increased length. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
That's not straw manning. I just said what you said. That's not straw manning.
Yeah, but you said only. You were like, oh, it only does this, only does that, as if it's not exactly.
That's not a bat wing, bro. That's not a bat wing. That's not me straw manning your position just because I don't believe you. I think you need to go learn some definitions, okay? But I am going to move on to the next guest. Come up here and claim that I straw man your position, and then when I read it back to you, you're like, oh, it's exactly what I believe. Then how did I straw man it, guy? Oh, go read some papers or something, man. Go learn some definitions before you come in here and claim that I'm straw manning it. And then when I repeat it back to you, you agree with it word for word. Jeremiah, what's up, man?
Yeah, no, he was saying that you said show him a mouse or show you a mouse growing a bat wing. And he was saying, well, if by bat wing you mean, like the, elongated limbs, the bone structure, all of that stuff, right? He's like, we did this with mice. and we saw that their limbs started to do the same things that a batwing starts to do.
I get you, Jeremiah, but
You're
that wasn't
actually answering the question
that wasn't the claim. So I think you kind of come in the middle of it, if I'm not mistaken.
He literally said that word for word is his claim. When you asked him what was your claim, he said that was that's what he said word for word.
Right, but my point was at the beginning of that, it was he made that statement. I didn't make a claim to show me this until after he claimed that it happened, and then I asked him specifically, "Is this observed or inferred?" And he said it's observed, which is factually inaccurate. It's not observed. We don't observe.
You described it when you read it out loud. You said that they saw that the limbs started to elongate and that they started fragmenting or whatever, like a batwing, which was him showing the evolutionary.
There's
change.
nowhere that it says.
Literally, what his claim was that they do the same things that batwings are starting to do. Like they have the features of a batwing: fragmented bones, long limbs. Right? Mice. They had long limbs, fragmented bones. It was done in a lab. They watched it start to finish.
See, you're adding all of this extra in there.
No, there's nothing extra. That's just a repetition of what he said. It's a
I got you, bro. Good job. I appreciate you coming. That's not what happens. Okay,
That's what you're doing, Holmes? You're kicking people who own you.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm doing.
Wow, Luke.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. Thanks for coming. So
it's called being disingenuous. Their claim is disingenuous.
Yeah.
They're saying that the bat or the mouse is now all of a sudden a bat because its limbs grew and had
webbed fingers. That's not a bat wing, guys. And if I have, thank you, man. Sorry, if I have to sit here and describe what a bat wing is to you, no disrespect, we can't have this conversation. And if you think I'm getting owned because you think a rat with webbed fingers is a bat wing, I can't help you. We can't have a conversation. You're not intelligent enough for this conversation. Oh my goodness. I don't want to skip anybody. Who was in here next?
There's another example, that is better than a bat and a mouse. So all right, let's try a sheep and a spider, right? We actually made it, or like we genetically modified sheep to literally shoot spider's web out of their butts.
What does that have to do with evolution?
Well, yeah, it's like
we have absolutely never done that. That's totally a bogus claim. Like, I had to interject here. There has never been a sheep that pooped out a spider web.
That's actually false. Yeah. There are goats. There it is. There are goats that produce spider milk. Spiders' webs in their milk. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Say it again.
This was actually a BBC documentary too.
Say it again. There's
goats with spider silk in their milk.
Okay, is that the same thing as pooping it out like you said, or is that in their milk?
Right. So like.
Now they know right to it, bro. Come, man. This is my problem. You guys come in here, y'all make a claim, and then you cannot support your claim. I'm like, see, this is why you don't last long. I unmuted you like 15 times. I muted you up 15 times, and you just unmute yourself. I let you come back up again a second time. You make a claim, and when my biologist friend here instantly says that's not true, you change your claim in real time to say something you did not say, and then act like we're the stupid ones.
And one more thing I want to interject before I back down is, do you also know that we share 90% the same DNA as my favorite house cat, Chubbs? We're 90% house cat. So, like, take that and run with it.
Yeah, common DNA does not prove common design. Or common descent, as also it proves common design is what I'm trying to say. It just as much proves common design as it does common descent.
Poop in a spider web next.
Yeah.
If they do, I'll let you know. I'll take it to the lab and I'll study the cat poop spider web.
No, my problem that I had with him is I was going to look this up to see what he's talking about. And then as I was typing it in, he changed his claim in real time and then act like you were stupid for not believing in it. First, his claim was that they pooped out spider webs. That's what his claim was. I know he was being a little bit semantic, saying they shoot it out of their butt. I didn't think that was necessary. I thought he was being semantic. I didn't take that for being true.
Claim that anything pooped out a spider web.
Yeah, and then he claimed that they found
non-credible source.
They found spider silk in their milk. That's not the same claim, dude. It's not the same claim.
It was not even sheep. It was goats.
6 for 1 half of the dozen.
That makes it better.
Yeah, but you change your claim in real time.
I'm gonna start checking Chubbs' litter box to see if he poops out of the spider web. You know, we're all gonna get rich, okay? I'm gonna ask Chubbs to do that for me. He usually does what I ask him to do. So I'm gonna ask Chubbs, can you poop out a spider web?
All right. Rupert, what's up, man? I think you were in here next, so I don't want to skip anybody. I apologize.
It's okay.
What's up?
I think I got two arguments for why evolution is true.
Okay.
The first one is a counter argument to yours. That is that new information cannot be created, and it's that you're confusing information with matter or energy, which are two different things that are not related.
Wait, no, that's
Genetic information is just the order this matter is arranged. It's not. It doesn't have to do with amount of matter.
I know you're talking about Newton's first law of thermodynamics, that matter cannot be created or destroyed. But I'm talking about.
Is that your argument?
No, it's not my argument. I'm talking about new information.
Oh. What do we mean new information? You mean genetic information?
Yeah, new genetic information. Genetic has to be
information. It's just a change in the order of that information.
Well, that's not true, because the information is. You would agree. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but most people do. That the information to create a fully functional human is not in a single-celled organism.
No.
That's right. So you need those new functions, those new codes, those new DNAs. They have to.
That doesn't mean it's more information. It just is different.
Yes.
That is different
Yes, it literally does, brother. I'm not talking about matter here, okay? I think you're confused with matter, okay? I'm talking about new information as far as new codes, new structures, new functions, new DNA. Yes, it is. It absolutely is new information.
That they change in the code of the DNA, the change in the information of the code, which that causes more features. Because you know how DNA works, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to get stuck in this weird definition argument with you. So, do you have any examples of genetic information gain that you'd like to bring to the table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
What do you got?
I have many examples, but I'm gonna actually give a really good one.
Okay.
It's even about the flood. All right. So you believe in flood, obviously.
Yep.
Okay. So can you agree in the fact that there was only two of each species inside the ark, right?
Okay.
Okay, so right now in the world, there are between 7.5 and 8 million species of animals.
River, I believe in, let me jump ahead of you real quick so I can see where you're going. I'm going to cut it off real quick. I believe in microevolution. That's not, I need an example of information gain.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm trying to say,
okay.
Can you agree in the fact that there are around at least 1 million of species of animals in the world right now, right?
1 million different. Okay, I don't know.
At least, obviously, there are a lot more. It's just the one that is already categorized, the one that have a name and all this stuff.
Okay, I don't know, but I'll grant you that.
So, if you want, you can search it up.
I don't think anybody knows for me to search it up, but I'll grant you that. It's not worth arguing. Go ahead.
All right, so if evolution didn't exist and these species were genetically exactly the same right now, there will have to be at least 1 million of around 2 million at least of species inside the ark, because it's two of each animal.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah.
No, you can get because some of those animals it's micro. Like, for example, you can get the zebra out of a horse. It's literally just hair and skin color. It's fur color and hair. That's really all it is. Horses and zebras can still interbreed. So we know that they had a common ancestor, and it was a horse.
That doesn't disprove my argument.
What do you mean? You said we had to have all of these different millions. No, we wouldn't. We would only have to have one horse kind of animal on the ark. Obviously, the mates, but you can get all of the different varieties of horse from horses. This is testable and observable. And just like I already conceded and tried to get ahead of it, and you said, let me finish, I want to go. I believe in microevolution. Brother, you got a bad echo there, brother.
I think still the number of animals that are not microscopic is still way too more to fit in a little ark. No.
Brother, are you wanting to have an evolution discussion or an art discussion? Because now we're changing the topic, because there's an original kinds, and most people that I understand that don't know about the ark have never read the Bible, and then they set up something and then they destroy it. Like you said, microscopic. You know, insects and things of this nature didn't have to be on the ark.
Microscopic evolution.
What? I don't know where we're going.
Microscopic evolution.
All right, Rupert,
I was talking about
Rupert, listen to me. Look at me. I want you to focus, okay? Because we went from evolution and then we went to the ark and all the animals couldn't fit. So I want you to stick on.
Really quick.
What do you got,
This
brother?
is the one I originally was going to talk about, but it's something I would really like to talk about. So, you said a few times now you believe in microevolution, not macroevolution. So,
Yep.
macroevolution would be a species evolving to the point where it is a new species, right?
I would say kind, but okay.
Okay, so take for example, like spiders, right? Spiders, though you might have had 2 spiders on the ark, no 2 spider breeds or types can breed with each other. They're not like horses.
You don't have to have spiders on the ark to begin with because they're insects. And
insects can survive in a flood.
Yeah, insects. Yes, insects can survive just fine on a flood, brother. It's called floating debris. Have you never seen any evidence on a flood?
Hold on, boy. You're saying that every single insect right now that exists in the world survived the flood?
Oh, hold on. A spider lived through the flood because it floated. Have you ever heard of any species ever that goes
Oh my
through
God.
space without eating, without
So,
hibernating?
all right. So this is
That's
the,
not have nothing to do with feeding.
this is the problem that I have. And again, no disrespect to you guys. It's fine. But before I come up and try to say that, hey, this theory is kind of silly and I don't believe it, I would at least study what the theory believes before I said it. Like, I don't agree with evolution, but I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think I'm pretty educated in what the guys teach. That's why I'm able to have this conversation. You guys, on the other hand, don't know anything about what the Bible says. And then you say that you just make a straw man like the spiders floated. Spiders, like I just said, they float on water. If you had, stop talking. If you had a worldwide flood that pulled up plant debris, you would have debris that is the size of states. And we see this in the fossil record, right? You see that these coal formations are huge, right? They go across, brother. Unmute again until I'm done talking. So this is the coal formations, right? This is plant matter that were laid down in the flood. That's the flood model. You can say I don't believe it, but that's fine. You also have these floating debris mats of dinosaur bone beds that literally went from the top of Texas all the way into Canada. You know how many states that is? And you're saying that insects couldn't survive on top of these floating debris mats? That's outrageously silly. Of course they could. And
okay, so your theory in this idea is that there was a bunch of floating debris and spiders managed to stay on top of it.
Of course.
Okay. So, what you're saying is every species of spider that exists today also existed when the flood occurred, and there was no evolution in between now and then.
No clue.
Okay, so
because of degradation, we can get away from things that I think we've seen this in the fruit fly experiment. You can get the degradation to where you can get animals not mating together anymore. They're not able to reproduce anymore. But that doesn't mean that they were, more than one original fruit fly. It just means that they've degraded so far out that they can no longer reproduce with the original. But that's still not evolution.
Right. So what is the change in that they can't mate together anymore?
I literally just said it. It's degradation. I literally just said that.
When degradation occurs,
right.
What is the change that is occurring to the animal?
I don't know specifically about the spider, but we see it in the fruit flies to where they start degrading.
No, I'm not.
We also see it in rabbits.
I'm not speaking specifically about the fruit flies. I'm saying this happens in all species. They separate, they go off into different directions, and sometimes they can't breed together anymore.
Right.
What is the change that occurs in the animal that makes it so that can't happen?
I don't know each one, bro. That's what I'm telling you. You'd have to be more specific about.
I'm not talking about the physical portions of the body. I'm saying it's their DNA. Their DNA changes, their body structures change, and they become a different animal.
Well, no, I'm not granting that at all. We do see that they can't mate, but I don't grant that they become a different animal. Where's that at?
Okay, so a lion and a house cat share a common ancestor, do they not?
Maybe. I don't know what the original kinds were, but I would imagine probably.
Okay. Let's take a good. Okay, beetles, for example. There are more species of beetle on Earth right now than could have possibly been on the Ark, right? Even if it was just beetles,
You didn't have to have them on the Ark, but okay.
they could have been out there, right?
Yeah, they wasn't on the
You're
Ark.
saying that all of those beetles degraded between now and the dawn of time, or existed since the dawn of time, and have not changed.
I don't know about the beetles, bro. Well, like, why don't you ask me? Like, insects didn't have to go on the Ark again, so I don't know how many, and nor I don't think it'd be possible for me to know how many original kinds of beetles there were. I have no clue.
Okay, Christian, so you don't believe though that there are new kinds of beetles now?
Well, it depends on what do you mean by new kind. Can you have a different? Can you have a different Can you have a different species of beetle? Sure. I believe in microevolution. I have to say it again 50 times. I believe in micro. That's
Hold on.
that's not going to be macro.
I said micro.
What in your mind?
Oh, I thought you said. Never mind.
What's the difference between macro and microevolution?
Micro is within the same kind. Macro is outside of that kind. So
being the case,
beetles producing beetles is not that's micro, not macro.
Yeah, they're still beetles. They didn't change into a snake.
Yeah.
they did change into a different species.
Okay, brother, I don't know how many times I got to say this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all. Can we move the conversation forward? I believe in microevolution. Beetles will produce beetles.
Right.
I got you.
So, if a beetle evolved to have one less body section and two more sets of legs, that would be a different kind in your mind, right?
No, not necessarily. That would be losing information.
Not necessarily. It's not.
You said it lost a body section and legs.
Information could still be there, and the gene's just not active.
Gentlemen,
It would stop. Rupert, chill. Okay. So the problem is unless I heard you wrong, you were talking about losing. And if it gained a leg, then the information was already there to create a leg. It's not a gain of information. It's all right. Let me get rid of this guy. I apologize.
Rupert is right on this, right? Just because you have more legs doesn't mean you have more information going there. Okay. It's a combination of
That's what
all
I
of
said.
our DNA.
Yeah, it's duplicated information. It's not additional information. We have people born with extra body parts all the time. That's not evolution.
Not even necessarily duplicated information. It's just a different combination of information, right? I don't have one gene that tells me to have one leg and one more gene.
It has to
have
no,
another leg.
no. There is it's not just combinations. It's different information. If it was just combinations, then we should.
I acknowledge that. Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
I'm not saying that's wrong, right?
right. Okay, so I need an example of macroevolution.
Like, you don't like this, but it is well documented in the fossil record. Like, that's why we don't see people beneath the dinosaurs.
It sounds like that's why it sounds like you already know. Like, have we already talked about this? Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. So
like
what's the reason? What's the reason I don't use fossils?
Oh, and I looked into this because we found soft tissue that was preserved inside of dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
And we have done experiments that show simply having blood in the area can make it so that soft tissue is preserved. Right now, the test has been over 2 years. Like, it was 2 years when I looked it up. I don't know when that.
Not 65 million years. Science stuff. You already come in here, man.
We've only been looking for this, an explanation for this for a couple of years. But what we did notice is that there was no degradation in the tissue when we simulated these conditions.
And what
Now, you can say not 60.
What experiment was this?
Hold on, I can look it up for you in a second. But
Okay.
You can say, yeah, maybe the tissue will be preserved for 2 years or 10 years or 1,000 years, but not 65 million. But you have no reason to say one way or the other why it would do that.
Well, if you got something that I'm unaware of that I'd like to look into, but I've never seen anything where anybody has claimed. I understand that they've claimed it, but I've never seen any experiment that they've done that supports that. So that's why you said if you had it, then yeah, I'd like to look at it because I've never seen anything where anybody claiming that we can preserve something for 65 million years now. But that my thing is,
I will look it up.
Sure, yeah. And while you're doing that, the reason why I don't use bones, you can use whatever evidence you want, what evidence you want to. Excuse me, up here, guys. I'm not going to tell you not to use it, but very quickly the conversation is not going to go anywhere because when you use fossils, you're using shapes and assumptions. Here, look at these two shapes. This one is we seen that this one went into that one. No, you didn't. You're literally just lining these things up based off of their shapes, and you're saying this one evolved from that one because this one is lesser than that one. That's not how you do science. You don't line things up by shapes. And fossils are literally shapes and assumptions. I could make a claim that bone you're studying was the last of its kind and it didn't have any children that lived. And you would have to be able to prove that it had children and had children that was able to pass on its information for you to be able to stick with that claim. So that's why bones don't work.
Yeah, host, can I elaborate on that too? It's
Sure.
It's kind of like if you never knew a Rottweiler existed and a poodle, but one day you dig up both of those fossils, and then for the atheist, it's more of a claim to say, aha, look, the poodle evolved into a Rottweiler because the poodle's smaller, or, even going off the bone structure. So basically, it's like saying there's a label on the fossils when you discovered them, which there isn't. So you can't do that. You can't just go, aha, this evolved from this because of this, because you don't have the evidence for it.
So I want to just reply to that real quick, right? We have, in many cases, like detailed lines like that, like you're referring to, right? And to suggest that there was, at some point in the last 6,000 years, both of these species existing next to each other and coexisting but being different species is a little bit strange, especially when we find the species in the fossil record where we would expect them.
I'm looking
in America.
I'm looking for that experiment, brother. And the only thing I've been able to find up is the hemoglobin treated samples, tissue stayed structurally intact for up to 2 years. I think that's what you referred to. Am I in the right place?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was degradation in that. I don't know what when you get when I'm.
I don't think there was, because I said in the video at 2 years there was none, not more that there was some at the end of it. But hold on.
Yeah, study done by Mary Hybe Schweitzer. That's the one that actually found it. Yes, there was some degradation, but they said it depends on the conditions of the experiment. After,
right. So in certain conditions, there would be no degradation. There could be no degradation.
Okay,
and all you need is blood.
I'm not seeing where there was no degradation, though. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing where they say that the degradation was reduced. I see reduction. That's fine. That's like a preserving agent. I would agree with reduction. I'm seeing reduction. I'm not seeing eliminated. I'm not seeing no. I'm not seeing the claim that you're stating. Matter of fact, it says right here, it slows decay but does not stop. Slows it but does not stop it. When you said the PBS did a documentary on it, that this is the source that it's doing. This is one of the sources that it's pulling from. Is that? I never
said PBS. PBS was that guy from like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, was that him? Oh, well, I apologize, and I don't want to I don't want to impugn you then. In that case, I do apologize. It wasn't you. ACS also, I don't know what that stands for. That's one of the sources. Physics.org. But yeah, I appreciate the stickers, guys. Yeah, I'm seeing that it slowed, brother, but I'm not seeing that it didn't degrade at all. And the reason what he's talking about, guys, if y'all heard me up here anytime whatsoever, they found, and it's not that they continue to find soft tissue on dinosaur bones. So then my contention is that clearly they can't be 65 million years old. And one of the things that they're trying to say now is that iron in the blood creates like a matrix around it, preserves it, and that's what keeps the soft tissue in the dinosaur. That's 65 million years old.
No, not quite. What it does is more like what happens when you tan something, when you're kind of pulling the structures apart and then recombining them. But I'll get back to that in a second.
Pull the
While
structure.
he's taking a break, William, I wanted to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, and I friend love both of you guys, so I'm going to ask you guys to play as nice as possible because I don't know how this is about to go. But this is my dear friend, Mother of Dragons.
Well, hello.
Oh, he knows me well, Harla.
Oh, you guys already know each other.
Oh, yeah.
She agrees with me. Mother of Dragon agrees with me wholeheartedly on everything I say.
Doubt that.
No. What's up, host? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We'll play nice. So here's my question. If I grant you for the moment, which I don't, but I'll grant you for the moment, that evolution is wrong. Okay?
Okay.
Let's pretend for the moment evolution is wrong.
Okay.
What evidence do you have that does not include your Bible or scripture showing that a God, a deity, is the only possibility for human life? For life, period, on the planet.
Great question. I don't know that I could answer that question, to be honest with you.
Can I take this one?
No, it's to the host. No.
Okay.
For me,
let him stew in it.
Right.
So I'm going to ask the question again. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to grant you that evolution is wrong.
Okay.
What is your evidence?
Right.
Evidence that your God, a deity,
So
is the only possibility.
I get you. Let me ask a clarifying
to
question.
create human life and or the universe.
Okay, so I got. Let me ask a clarifying question. So it's not. I don't have to, quote unquote, prove my deity. I just have to prove a deity.
Well, you claim it's your deity, so I'm going to stay with your deity.
Okay, so is the question then? Could I prove a deity did it, or do I have to prove my deity did it?
You have to prove that your deity is the only possibility.
Okay, so
Right, so I'm granting you evolution.
I got
is
you.
wrong.
I got you. So the way that I would answer that is, in my opinion, there's a dichotomy. It's either evolution did it or a deity did it. And then if you grant that evolution is not true, then you have to go with deity. Now, which deity is the one that did it? And then on that one, I would.
So wait. No,
Okay.
no, that's not where you got to go.
Okay.
Are you telling me that there's only two possibilities?
Do you have a third one? Because I've been doing this for a while, and I had this conversation plenty of times. Whenever I bring this up, somebody says no, there's not a dichotomy, but they can't offer me a third option. What's the third option if it's not evolution or deity?
But because at this time in science, right, and in this time in the world,
Saying we haven't figured it out is not an answer.
Wait, hold up. If we don't have another possibility at this moment in time,
I get it, Mother, but here,
let me ask the question.
that's
Wait,
not
you're stopping me.
That's not an answer, though.
No, it is. It is.
Okay. All right.
So let me ask you. Okay, so I mean, we can do this very simply. Okay, Is there a possibility that there is an animal in the Amazon forest right now that no one has ever seen or discovered?
Hold on, we're going way off topic. It's like we're switching it in real time when I'm trying to answer the first one.
I'm trying to show you something.
I got you.
I'm trying to show you
Mother,
a way of thinking.
Listen, Mother, I know. Let's do some critical thinking. So I have answered your question to start with, and then you interrupted me. So here we go. In my opinion, there's a dichotomy. It's either evolution or deity. Now, you said that's not true. Then I need you to provide something other than the dichotomy. And so far, you haven't. So is there anything other than either evolution or deity?
No, I don't have to. I do not have to provide you.
Then we'll go with my dichotomy.
And I will explain why.
Then we'll go with, if you can't provide me a third option and just say that there are, then we have to go with my dichotomy. You can't say there's a third option and then just say I don't know what it is.
Of course there is.
What is it?
Okay, so this is why I'm showing you the way of critical thinking. Are we in agreement right now that somewhere in the Amazon forest there is a possibility that there could be an animal or an insect or an
Wait a minute, Mother of Dragons.
Stop.
Stop.
That
You
no
stop for a
one
second.
has
You
ever
stop for a
seen
second.
or discovered.
Because you want to use the word possibility when it's in your
Right.
corner. You want to use absolute when it's in William's corner, and that's not fair.
I got you, but I got you. But that
that's wrong. That's wrong.
What's wrong with you?
I got you. But Mother, we're talking about creation. You're asking me now, is there a possibility that something was already created and we just hadn't found it yet? Yes. But we're talking about
Say that again. No, wait. Say that again.
Then you have to
Yes.
flip it and say, is that a possibility
Guys,
that
guys.
created it? You can't have it one way or the other.
I got
can't
you.
have it
Wait.
both ways.
Here we go. Mother, listen to me. Listen to me.
You're being dishonest. You're being intellectually dishonest. Let's go
If-
for it, sister. You're being intellectually dishonest.
It's critical.
No, listen to me. Listen to me.
Yeah.
She's right on this right here. Regardless,
Absolutely not.
well, she is, because what you're doing is you're giving. We're talking about creation, and you're wanting to say this thing that already existed. Is it possible that we found every one of them? Then no. Well, we're talking about creation. So the dichotomy is either evolution did it, and there's different fields in evolution. Some people say that it's space, time, and matter is eternal, and some people say that it created it from nothing. Both of those still fall into evolution. So it's either that or a deity did it. Now, if you're going to say that's not a true dichotomy, then you have to be intellectually honest and say, here's the third option. You can't say that that's not there. There's this other option that we just don't know about yet. There's literally no information in that comment.
May I provide in good faith for a third option?
Sure. If it's on this, go ahead.
Okay. Well, so is it not possible?
I want y'all to, I'm sorry, real quick. I just want y'all to notice that the guy that was talking about the dinosaur stuff just left. I didn't kick him, guys. He left. I'm sorry, brother. I didn't mean to interrupt. Oh, wait, he's coming back. Maybe he lost signal. He's coming back.
Now, in this argument, no. In this argument, no. Because what I'm trying to show the host and what I'm presenting to the panel is the rules of logic, is critical thinking. That you cannot say that one thing is the only existing possibility with no evidence. You can't do it.
I agree with you, but I'm the one, and no disrespect, I'm the one that's acting in the law. I'm giving you that. This is critical thinking. Here's all the evidence. Is either mother. There's a dichotomy here. And if there's not a dichotomy, then I need you to offer me something other than it could have been this one thing that we don't know yet. Because I can do that with you, Mother. Anytime you ask me a question, I could give the God of the Gaps thing and just say, well, it's something that we haven't discovered yet. But I'm not going to do that to you. If I disagree with you on something, I'm either going to tell you why I disagree with you, or I'm going to say, I don't know about that. I'm not going to say there's this elusive third thing that nobody can mention or I can't describe to you.
Wait a minute. I'm going to stand 10 toes down, and you are not allowed to give him an either or, but you get a possibility. That's not fair.
Carlo doesn't understand debate.
All right, hold on.
I understand biology. I understand that you want to just give him two options when you get a third.
All right, so Mother, I'm gonna. Here we go, Mother. I want you to hold on. I don't. Mother, I got you. Mother, listen.
endless.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Endless options.
I got you. I do not, mother.
At least you admitted it was endless options.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I did say while he was looking that up. So I want you to think about this third option. I'm going to go back to my man because he was looking that up, and now that he's back, I want to re-engage with him, and then I will come back to you, and you can think about that third option. All right, brother, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking about the same experiment, but we're reading differently here. So sorry, I gotta scroll back up to the top of here.
Okay.
Okay, so right from the abstract here. Iron clearators increase fossil tissue and immune reactivity to multiple antibodies, drastically suggesting a role that iron in both preserving and masking proteins and fossils. Hemoglobin increases tissue stability more than 200-fold for approximately 3 days to more than 2 years. So it was stable. It did not, like, there were some where after 3 days it broke down.
That was the one in water. Obviously, we're not going with the control sample, and I understand that this.
Hold on.
Okay. All right.
This one was not in water here. What I'm getting at is
Okay.
this was from approximately 3 days to more than 2 years at room temperature in the ostrich blood vessel. I don't know how long more than 2 years is, right?
Mhm.
But for 2 years at least or more, it stayed and did not degrade.
That's the problem I have with your wording right there. It did stay structurally intact for up to 2 years. I see that too. And it says that they were.
Where did Mother Dragon go? What the hell?
I don't
where
know.
Did you go?
She left out. Maybe she lost signal like him. It does not say that she's coming back up. She might have lost signal. It does not say that there was no degradation.
I lost my connection.
No problem. That's the problem. That's the problem I have with the statement, brother. Is you're brother, you're making an absolute claim, and the problem is the absolute claim that you're making is not supported by the paper you're reading. It does say that it was structurally intact, and that there was very little collapse or breakdown. Very little is not.
Stable mean to you?
Are you listening to me?
I am. What does stable mean to you?
Great. We can redefine all the words we want to. Is your claim that there was no breakdown or there was very little breakdown? Because first there was none, and now it's very little, right? That's what the paper says.
I'm not making that claim. It's saying here that there are different tissues.
Let me ask you very quick. I know.
Hey, host,
I got you.
he's
Hold
making a
on.
point. Why are you talking over the research paper? He's making a very good point.
Yeah, he's making a very good point. You wasn't up here, so please mute up and shut up if you don't know what we're talking about. Okay. So your claim originally was that it did not degrade. So I'm going to ask you very directly now. Does it degrade any? Does it degrade any?
In the text right here, some of them did degrade. One lasted over 2 years.
I don't care, brother. I'm asking you a simple question. I understand. No degradation.
The one that lasted over 2 years did not. That's
Okay.
what stability means.
Okay. So here's the two options, because I'm looking at the same thing you are. Either you're lying about it because they did degrade, just very small, or you're factually incorrect and ignorant about it, and you need to go read it. And that's not me being disrespectful. I'm not saying that you're.
Right now, I'll read it to you again.
Okay, read it to me again.
Hemoglobin increased tissue stability more than 200-fold for approximately 3 days to more than 2 years. Nothing about that says anything about it degrading.
Great. You got that one sentence there. What's the rest of the paper say? Does this rest of the paper say that there was no degradation or that it was able to last very strong for 2 years?
The sentence right there, maintain stability.
Okay. All right. You're gonna cut that out. All right, brother. I appreciate you coming. Okay. You're factually incorrect. You're gonna take a half of, instead of looking at the whole paper, which is what I'm looking at all of it right here. You want to take one paragraph out of it in an effort to support you and say that there was no degradation. You're factually inaccurate, brother. And for all of you who want to, it's Mary Schweitzer, Blood Iron. All right, brother. I apologize. Go ahead. Mother of Dragon, you're back. I'm back with you. Did you come up with a third reason?
I lost my connection. I had to
No problem.
log out, come back in.
I got you. No problem. So
So
the third dichotomy.
I'll ask the question again. Okay, I'll ask the question again. I'm going to take evolution off the table, say it's wrong, right? Okay. That doesn't mean that there has to be a third option. There could be 100 options.
Nope.
I want you to provide your evidence.
I am, and if we can't, Mother, if we can't agree, then the conversation's not going anywhere, because I'm telling you, I'm not dodging. I'm not dodging. There is a dichotomy. There, Mother, listen to me. I'm not worried about your insults. If you just don't agree that there's a dichotomy, then I know, Mother, listen, please. I'm asking you, I'm telling you there's a dichotomy, and everyone up here can hear it and everyone can see it. I'm not dodging it. There's only two options that's ever been presented. Either evolution did it, and you have a couple of options within evolution, like I've already mentioned. Some people believe that it's eternal, time, space, and matter has always been, or some people believe that it was created from nothing. The Big Bang, literally nothing exploded. There's two options within that one, but both of those, what?
None of those are evolution. I'm an evolutionary biologist. Abiogenesis and the creation of the universe has nothing to do with evolution, dude.
What are you talking? Background. What do you mean they have nothing to do together? You're telling me. So, what do you believe about time, space, and matter?
So for instance, in evolution, right? Like, we don't make any inferences on abiogenesis, which is mostly a biochemical
Yes,
question.
you do. Yes, you do. Would you like me to give you the theory? Would you like me to give you the theory?
Name a.
Get off my stage. You're too stupid for me to have this conversation with. Talking about that, like these guys come up here with this new stuff. What is the third option? Well, it was just here. No, you don't. You believe that the Earth was a hot molten ball of rock and that it rained on the rocks for millions of years, and this created the chemical soup. I can give you the abiogenesis test that they do, where they get the chemical soups and strike it with lightning to create amino acids. That's the experiment that they're doing to do abiogenesis. So for you to come up here and say that's not what it teaches, you are too uneducated for this conversation.
Because he was interrupting the conversation. You and I and William are having a conversation. That's why.
Mother.
He came up. Hold up. Bring backyard back up.
Nope.
Bring it back up.
Nope.
Anybody what to freaking do?
There's not going to be. This is what we're going to do, Mother. This is what we're going to get back on our conversation.
Biologist, and you just kicked him. Bring him back up.
All right, Mother, I'm gonna give you one more opportunity. We can get back on. I don't care. This is my live.
Ready to roll. I am so ready to roll.
All right.
Come on, Mother, roll with me.
All right, have a good one.
God damn it.
I'm sorry, Halo. She wasn't, or Harlow. She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Brother, can I interact? Is that possible?
Yeah, man. What you got?
First of all, I am a born-again believer, and I do believe in the biblical creation.
Yep.
I think we've spoken before, but it's been a while, a couple weeks. And I wanted to throw something past you, a couple of ideas, just to hear what you're going to say.
Sure.
I'm not saying I have an opinion one way or another. I guess I could start with this. When Thomas was before Christ, and Thomas made some statements about not believing unless he's seen them. There's, believe me, this will go with what I'm about to say. Blessed he that has not seen but yet believes. There's a lot of things that are unexplainable. I guess I'm going to open up a can of worms here. So I was on another show, and there was a conversation, and there was several different ideas. Some of them were preterists. That Christ came back in 70 AD. I'm not getting involved in that, but I brought up the plane of natural and supernatural.
Okay.
And then, because I heard a couple things you said about an hour ago, and I couldn't really jump in. I was kind of involved in doing something, and I'm kind of going to go this direction about.
Wait a minute, please bring her back up here. Bring her back up here.
Brother, I love you. Hey, I tell you what.
Which one of you just called me a girl?
Hey, can I say something?
Hold on, guys. Listen up. So everybody's getting kind of heated. The people in the discussions are going back and forth. And look, I like people up here that disagree with me, guys. I do, but we got to be able to agree on some stuff, or we can't move on. And this evolutionary biologist, evidently that I kicked, said that that's not what abiogenesis just starts. You want me to, that's not what evolution teaches. Yes, it does, man. You can say that you don't believe in that, but you can't tell me that that's not what it teaches. It literally does teach that the earth was a hot molten ball of rock. It does teach that. And then it rained on the rocks for millions of years, dissolved the rocks in a chemical soup. Lightning struck it and created, I'm not wrong on that. You can just Google search that, guys. And if you're an evolutionary biologist and you don't know this, how can we have a conversation? How can we have a conversation? And people saying I'm running or I'm being dishonest. I'm not being dishonest. I'm not running. That is what evolution teaches. You want to start with life, and you're trying to say that evolutionists, biologists don't. Maybe you don't in your field, but I'm not wrong. It is what it teaches, right?
Could I just say one thing? It's quick.
Sure.
All I want to congratulate you on becoming a Christian. That's all.
I appreciate that, but get your ass back up here, mother. Get back up here, and we can go Snaps Live, and we can have a showdown, because I wasn't done.
All right, big dog. I apologize.
I'm gonna back off. We'll talk another time.
No, man, you're good, dude. It got a little heated there, but I'm more than I want to hear you out, man.
It's gonna get heated.
I want to hear you out.
I love my sister too, and I didn't want to interrupt her. I know she's kind of on a roll here, so.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit. You know, I'll control it if it starts getting out of hand.
Anybody, mama, get your ass back up here and let's have a conversation.
All right, backyard. I was talking to you, and you're saying that I'm misrepresenting it. Please tell me how I'm misrepresenting it.
Yeah, so two ways. So first off, when we talk about abiogenesis, the people who mainly do abiogenesis are biochemists.
I get it. I'm
giving my points. I had said two things. Second, right, when you're in an evolutionary biology class, we don't give any positive claims about where life originated or how it originated. I can pull up multiple lectures from the top universities, including the one I go to, in which we do not teach that.
Brother, I get. Hold on, man. Wait. I get. Let's have a back and forth. I get that you don't, but you claim that I was being wrong. I'm not wrong. You're saying that doesn't teach that at all. You're wanting to start. Brother, stop. Let me ask you some questions. Let me ask you some very simple clarifying questions. So you're wanting to start with abiogenesis. Is there a theory that teaches that the earth was a hot molten ball of magma and that it rained on the rocks for millions of years? And I can give you the experiments to where they struck it with lightning and created amino acids. And they said this is where the first single-celled organisms come from, even though you're starting after that.
I know exactly where you're going. Yes, and those theories failed. So the theories now that have been going on for the last 35 years in evolutionary biology and biochemistry, especially biochemists, do not think that it happened because this is like whole wet, rainy rock. What they think happened were things called magnetite nodules at the bottom of the ocean towards clean gas pipes, right? These are like the smokestacks that you see at the bottom of the ocean, except they don't have black plumes coming out of them. Mm-hmm. They think that it possibly could have come from there. No one has been doing these amino acids in a jar experiments for like 35, 40 plus years.
And I think that's factually inaccurate too.
Don't touch the chemistry side of it. We can go toe for toe for the latest research on this and what people are claiming. And I will tell you that. I can show you that you're wrong.
No, see, the problem that I had with you is that you come up here and claim that this is not what evolution teaches, but then you go back and say, "Oh, wait, yeah, they did teach this, but we're moving on to this now." I didn't misrepresent it, brother.
You didn't let me say any of that. You walked over me.
That's because, God, do not come up here on my thing. Tell me I'm factually inaccurate, and then I kick you, and then you come back, and then.
What they're teaching now, because it's not what they're teaching now.
Congratulations! Did they teach it? Did they get off my stage? You're too stupid to have this conversation. Too stupid. They did teach it. And you're coming up here and conceding the fact that they did teach it. I'm not misrepresenting what it is. You're stating that they haven't done this in 40 years. I think they just recently did the chemical soup experiment again. It was actually done twice, not once, Einstein. You're too factually stupid to come up here and have a conversation with me. You come up here, you say I'm factually inaccurate, and then when you come back up the next time, you say, yeah, you're factually inaccurate, but guess what? Yeah, we did teach that. So I'm not factually inaccurate if you did teach that. You can say that you don't believe it. As an evolutionary biologist, you can say that this is what we're teaching now. But there's more fields in evolution than just your evolutionary biologist. There are also people that study cosmos, that talk about stellar evolution. There's chemical evolution. There's cosmic evolution. Your field is not the only field.
Can I ask a question from the cosmological perspective?
Before anybody else speaks, can I go ahead and just speak on what you're saying too? So the word abiogenesis, A is from the word not. Bio is life.
Look at Grandma's bush.
Genesis obviously is the beginning.
It's
So
bloomed out.
it literally means not life from the beginning, right? And the definition is the original evolution of life or living organisms from inorganic or inanimate substances. So when this guy's saying that's not what he's teaching or being taught, I mean, congratulations if you're spending $50,000 now you'd be taught what the actual definition states.
There's another well-known evolutionary, another biologist, and I've talked to other people that claim, I mean, I don't look at their backgrounds, that also claim that they're evolutionary biologists. I've talked to people in colleges. I had a pretty good debate with a guy that's got a pretty big YouTube channel who claims also he's in an evolutionary biologist class. I understand that your evolutionary biology class wants to start with abiogenesis. That's true. I'll give you that. That's what they want to start with. But to claim that you're the only field in evolution and then I'm wrong about that. And mother, you can say I'm wrong as long as you want. You can't. We couldn't get past the hello part of our talk because you can't. You say there's not a dichotomy. Okay, what's the third thing? Well, it's just this some other third thing. Okay, what's the third thing? Well, it's just this some other third thing we haven't invented yet. That we don't know about it yet. That's not an answer, and I can't help you if you guys can't understand that. I really can't. And everybody in the comments and everybody on the stage can see it. Some people will agree with me, some people won't. But I think you were up here long enough for me to tell you and show you. And I think everybody saw you, mother, while you was up here. I literally tried to answer your question as best I could. But the conversation can't move forward if I say, here's a dichotomy. It's either evolution or it's a deity. And I will explain to you why my deity should be the deity.
Then you don't get your ass back up here to have the conversation. So bring it on back up here.
She don't want to come back up. She can't do it.
Perspective.
Yeah, brother. What you got?
Just speaking about third ways, my curiosity to you is why are they mutually exclusive? I'm an agnostic.
Why are
for me?
I didn't hear the question. I apologize. Speak up a little bit.
So for the idea of something's third, a third sort of element to your dichotomy of creation, right? It claims that it's either a result of evolution or a deity, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I'm with you there. So my question is, from a cosmological perspective, you have some understanding of the size of the universe and the statistical probabilities of intelligent life on other planets. What necessarily are you making the claim that if there is life scattered throughout the universe, that they should all be Christians or saved or things of that nature? Is the deity the God of the Abrahamic Bible, Torah, and Quran? And if not, that they're all apostates? Are their souls condemned?
Well, we're kind of going. You're asking me on something that's not real, or even been proven. So you're saying that there's life out there, and therefore they should serve my deity. But I'm not. There's not. I would be conceding something that we don't know. We don't know if there's any life outside of the planet.
Just to be clear, let me just ask one foundational question, just to make sure.
Okay.
How old do you believe the Earth is?
The Earth, according to the Bible, is like 6,000 and some change. Me personally, honestly, I don't know. It's not the Bible's not like a calendar that says this is how old it is.
Sure.
It can't be millions or billions, but tens of thousands probably.
From your understanding, the Earth is at max tens of thousands of years old?
Yeah.
So we're extrapolating here. So what would you describe as existing in the current visible universe? Like what extent, how large, how many planets possibly could there be?
I have no idea, man.
What's the statistical probability between how many galaxies would you assert are in the current visible universe?
I have a lot. I don't know.
You can see with the naked eye the Andromeda galaxy. Do you know how many stars it has?
I got you, bro. There's a whole lot. What you got?
The Andromeda galaxy, visible with the naked eye, has upwards, at the latest estimate, of around 1 trillion stars.
I got you, man. Where's this going? I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there's a lot of stars.
The statistical probability of whatever sort of current conditions that are conducive to life is so astronomically high that I know that we don't have an alien corpse in front of us, and I cannot produce it for you. But the question is, in good faith, are you willing to concede that there is a probability of let's just not say sapient life, but just life in general.
No, I
in
think
the universe.
I think the higher the numbers goes, the less likely it happens, not more.
The more stars there are, the higher probability of life.
I'm the kind of guy, brother. I need to see like some kind of evidence. My faith is not without evidence. I'm not just going to concede that there's other beings out there when we don't have any evidence for it.
What would meet the burden of proof for you to have your evidence?
I don't know. You got anything that's not aliens?
We can talk about so just to be clear, I'm just trying to make sure I'm framing a perspective.
I got you. And I'm trying to be respectful, man. I want to have this conversation, but I'm not an alien guy. I just don't see any evidence for it. If there's evidence, then you're welcome to bring it. But I don't see any evidence for it.
Not just aliens. I'm talking about the proliferation of life throughout not even the visible, like the entire universe.
6 for one, half a dozen another. I don't see any for it.
It's an impossibility. I'm not talking about evidence. I'm talking about a statistical probability of it existing throughout the universe.
I don't know, man. Can we go somewhere? Third time.
Here's the question. I understand that it's an uncomfortable sort of like.
I'm not. I just want to know where brother. We've asked. Well, there's a lot of stars.
I want to say one more time. Why is William being held to an absolute, and you guys get to have probabilities?
I just want to know where we're going. I want to get there. Okay.
So, William.
All right.
In the spirit of good faith.
Yep.
Just to make sure here. Okay. I'm asking that because I'm trying to understand the frame of reference that you have. Because I know that you're talking about science.
Okay.
You're going toe to toe for people who are biologists and things of that nature.
Okay.
But if you're are you making the serious claim that the maximum age of the Earth is 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 years old, and that there's no statistical probability of life anywhere else in the entire
Earth? If I couldn't,
relevant to your case,
I couldn't make an absolute claim. Well, I'm able to separate my belief system to what the Bible says. And quote unquote science, if you will. So I don't know. There's no way for me to know that, brother. That's an impossible question for me to know.
While I'm no anthropologist, human Homo sapiens are understood to have existed in the current bodies that we have right now for around a little bit over 300,000 years. And from that time, around 300,000 to the last 5,000 years ago, we were hunters and gatherers. That's all time before the birth of Jesus, before the writing of the Bible.
Okay.
Is every hunter and gatherer from that time period, are they doomed to be in purgatory or otherwise hell? Because
I don't grant those
or
long.
Did they not exist?
Yeah, I don't grant that was the case at all. Obviously, I don't believe that there's.
Homo sapiens were never hunters and gatherers for the last 300,000 years.
I don't grant those long.
Dozens of ice ages,
brother.
Right?
Brother, I don't grant those hundreds of thousands of years. So we have two different worldviews. And if I was to ask you where you're getting these hundreds of thousands of years, you would either say radiometric dating or you'd say the geologic column. Geologic column, I would say, is not a column. It come from the flood. Those columns cannot be millions of years apart if you have polystrata fossils that connect them. So you're starting from a worldview that already grants billions and billions of years. And then you're looking at fossils of these animals or things that died in the flood. And then you're using shapes and assumptions and saying, look, this one is this shape and it looks like us. So therefore we came from that. I'm not granting that.
So just to be clear, what's the maximum age that you believe that the Earth is?
I've already answered that. What else you got?
I just want to make sure.
I've already answered it. Brother, we're not going anywhere. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, man. We're not going anywhere. Do you got something? I'm not granting you that we come from hominids or Lucy or any of these other things.
Third way, okay? Let's boil it down. As an agnostic, let's just state that, I roll along with your premise that, yes, there's either deity or evolution, right?
Okay.
My concern is that I don't know. I don't see any sort of
brother. I would like let me help you out. Let me help you out. No, you can't because you can't. I've let you do three things now. So let me help you. I don't want to kick you. But so far we've gone nowhere. I would like to go somewhere with you so that I can say, like usually when I talk to evolutionists, I say I need to have genetic information gained. And then I describe what that is. And I talk about bacteria and I give all kinds of examples. So far, we haven't talked about nothing. So if you don't get there respectfully, I'm going to move on because we're not going anywhere. Okay. So get to where you're going.
Just to be certain, getting there, we're agreeing upon foundational and rudimentary and elementary.
You got 30.
understanding
You
of
got
how
30
the world
seconds.
and the
You got 30
universe
seconds. You better make it worth my while in 30 seconds, or I'm moving on.
Just to be clear, I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to establish a baseline for agreeing on basic common knowledge that I understand that you can look at any sort of piece of evidence or any scientific study and you're going to be able to find a way to make an apologia for it. I'm asking you from very basic facts here, the sky is blue kind of stuff. You're stating that the maximum that the age of the earth is 50,000 years old.
Thanks for coming, man. I really wished we could have got somewhere with that. I like having conversations with people who disagree with me, but that was hard. Yeah, it was a waste of time. We didn't go nowhere. I've already granted 3 times. I already talked about the age of the earth, and let's be clear. Just to be clear, I want to be super clear. Can we be clear on this? We're not going nowhere.
I have a question, please.
What you got, brother?
Hello. Sorry if I made some mistake. English is not my first language.
Okay.
So you're basing yourself on the Bible, and I can understand that because I'm Christian myself.
Okay.
But you're just making evidence. Nowhere in the Bible it is states that the earth is 10,000 years old max.
Well, it gives the lineages, right? It says Adam was 130 when Seth was begot, and then it goes all the way down to Jesus. And we know that it was 2,000 years since Jesus. So if we know that it's 2,000 years since Jesus, and we know that it took 4,000 years to get from the lineage, it's in Genesis. All you got to do is just add those dates up. Now, I will grant you that it's not a timeline. It doesn't say so. There are Christians that believe in a great amounts of time, but you can't get millions of years out of that. So you could get about 10,000 years out of that, give or take, but you cannot get millions. And it says it literally gives the lineage from Adam to Jesus, and that's 4,000 years. And then from Jesus to where we are today is 2,000 years. So obviously that's a little bit over than 6,000, brother.
Okay, you say that there were many animals that died during the flood, and that's a fossil. But in the Bible, it is stated that all the animals were on the ark. So why would they let some animal die?
Well, the animals outside of the ark died, right? Or unalived, excuse me. They unalived, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I missed the question. That's the animals outside the ark unalived.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that there were other species that have been discovered.
What do you mean?
Why would they be on the ark?
I answer that.
The original kinds were on the ark. And he only had to take those that had the breath of life in their nostrils. So you didn't have to take insects.
Clean animals.
Yeah. It took the dirty ones. It just took 6 of those. So insects didn't have to go on the ark because they breathe through their skin. And again, they live just fine on floating debris mats that are several states wide, right? So insects will live just fine in a flood. We see this in floods today, right? So the insects didn't have to go on the ark. Fish didn't have to go on the ark, obviously. So it was just the land animals and birds, basically, that went on the ark.
Yeah, but there are other species that are not either insects or fish that has been discovered that are extinct right now, doesn't exist anymore. Why?
Because I get your question. They went extinct. Why did they go extinct if God tried to save them on the ark? Am I getting your question correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, sometimes because of free will, we have the ability to unalive things and get rid of them, like the dodo bird, where people just walked up with sticks because they were so easy to unalive. And people did that, right, through choice. Some other things, the animals could not live as long as they used to. Like, you can say that you don't believe this or not, but there is every dinosaur sighting, like Mokele and Mbembe or all these other things that people are quote unquote claiming to see dinosaurs afterwards. You even talk about you can see this in England when they do the drawing, the knights and stuff like that, and they draw the dinosaurs or the dragons, if you will. And there's several early paintings of depictions of dragon-like animal or dinosaurs, and a lot of them look like dwarf dinosaurs, right? They're dwarfs. Like Mokele and Mbembe is literally described as a sauropod dinosaur, but it's no bigger than a hippo. And the reason for this is because clearly they can't get as big as they once did in this environment. The pre-flood world was a hyperbaric-like conditions. Now, whether you
oxygen-rich environment.
Yeah, whether you
Not only that, might I point out that reptiles do not cease to grow; they continue to grow, and at that time,
Yep.
there were 900 years to a human life, which would further,
right.
give way to the reptiles becoming large and becoming quote unquote dinosaurs.
Yeah. Now you can say you don't necessarily believe that, but even if you do believe in evolution, you still have to believe hyperbaric-like conditions still existed back then, because you have insects that got, like a dragonfly got like 3-foot wingspans, and today they're this
but
big.
The
So
problem with your logic
okay.
is that you're saying that Earth is 6,000 years old, and in an amount of time, so
You believe they're hundreds of millions.
yeah.
Okay.
It take way more
So
time because
why do you?
logic.
I got you. Why do you? Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let's take this a bite at a time. What makes you think, other than just being told, what makes you think that these are hundreds of millions of years old?
It's just simple logic. If they were able to get so big or so small in like hundreds of years, reptile will already be bigger than they were 200 years ago.
Brother, I just want to know, why do you think that these things are hundreds of millions of years old? You know that dinosaurs are mentioned in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
That's a fact.
You said that kind of like, yeah, like you don't know.
So it doesn't change my point. I'm telling you, if they were getting bigger or smaller,
I don't know what bigger. I don't know what bigger. Hold on, brother. Hold on. I don't know what bigger or smaller has to do with you believing that they're hundreds of millions of years old. If you would just tell me why you think they're hundreds of millions of years old, then I can attack that argument. If you're going to use the geological column, if you're going to use radiometric dating, I will show you that they're finding soft tissue and dinosaur bones.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you said that they exist. They were bigger before the flood.
Right.
Because the environment was different.
Right.
I can accept that point. But the problem is that you're telling us all of this happened in 6,000 years. So if in a so small amount of time, the animal as big as dinosaur were able to get so small as no other reptile, in the next 200 years, with the head heating up, the reptile will already be way bigger than they were 200 years ago.
Can I answer that for you, host?
Sure, man. Give it a shot.
Okay, check it out. Check it out, Holmes. Okay, back in biblical days, okay, the earth was an oxygen-rich environment. They had the giant trees, those big mammoth trees that they talk about in the Bible. Oxygen-rich, and in an oxygen-rich environment, it feeds the blood cells, and the reptiles are able to grow indiscriminately. Now, then in the scripture it says that God sent down his angels to cut down the trees that reached up into the heavens. So there goes your oxygen-rich environment. Then he flooded the world, and okay, the dinosaurs drowned and all that good stuff. So there it is, bro. You know, I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah, so why then, that's what I'm asking, why would God create dinosaurs just to destroy them and not destroy the other species?
He did destroy other species. He destroyed men. He destroyed the civilization. He destroyed everything on Earth. Okay, he didn't pick and choose. What he did do was pick. Okay, I'm gonna take 7 filthy animals and all the other clean animals 2 by 2. He saved those animals. He destroyed the rest because they were unworthy. You see that? You understand now? Unworthy.
Gentlemen, just for a second.
Yeah.
Please, William, bring her back up here.
She's not. She hasn't requested back up. She just stays down in the comments and
You're
said,
not requesting back up. I cut my dinner out to have this conversation with you, mother. So bring it on.
"I'm gonna." Harlow, when you give your life over to Christ, a lot of the people that you probably used to hang out with that they don't agree with you, you'll understand this right here, and this is what you'll see. And this is Christian talking to Christian now. Have you noticed that when I have an evolution, now I get heated. I do. There's no doubt, but it's usually after so long of not being able. But you know that most of the time when I talk to evolutionists, They are so mad.
I am a biologist, mother
Yeah.
of dragons. I do have that degree. So stop disrespecting me and bring your sorry ass back up here.
She's not. She doesn't disagree with you based off science. She disagrees with you because most of these people, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, so I won't say it like that. But it's anecdotal. Most of the people that I see that are evolutionists, that are especially, they're mad at you. Like, I don't care that you believe in evolution. I want to talk to you, have a good conversation, but it doesn't hurt my feelings that you're evolution. Believe what you want to believe. I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to tell you about the truth. I'm going to share Jesus with you. But at the end of the day, if you don't believe it, I can still be your friend. But evolutionists get mad at you. They get mad at you because you don't believe like
I've
them.
been called all kinds of names from I don't have the degree that I have because I wasn't busy raising kids, going to college and all those things. I didn't do any of those things. But I can tell you this, it is absolutely wrong. You don't get to give him 2 options and you get 37 options. That is not a fair play on the field. I don't
That's
care what
why
sport you're playing, and we happen to be playing science.
And-
but it's not fair if one teammate gets 2 and you get 37 or endless amounts of opportunities.
Yeah, and guys, I do listen. This is people. This is my channel. It is what it is. I try to control it. I try to have good conversations, and you can say that I got baked or I got baked or I got it controlled. I had an evolutionary biologist up here, according to her. I don't know that he was or not, but according to him, that he was. And I would like to have talked about that, but evidently, my problem is when you come up and make a claim that I'm factually incorrect about this, and then I kick you because you're wrong, and then you come back and you say you are factually incorrect. But then you go back to admit that, yeah, this is what it's taught. It's not taught in your field, but it is taught. So for you to come up here and say that I'm factually incorrect when I'm not, and they're continuing to do these experiments. I looked it up right before I kicked him. It says they did it in 2007. They did it in 2021 and 2023. And no disrespect to that man. He may be very intelligent, but he's not a debater. He's not a conversationer, evidently, because he's not ready to have this conversation because he's making fact-based statements that he is factually incorrect on. I didn't make this up. This is their theory. And to say that they don't teach this anymore, when they do.
You're asking about him, bring yourself up. Because you can do a chat GBT search of whether or not science can disprove God, and guess what it says? It can't.
Well,
no, it can't.
Mother, she hasn't.
Most scientists were.
If you're going to be, when I have conversations with guys, we have to be intellectually honest with each other. We have to. And if you say, Mother, you ask me, and like you said, you and I have had conversations before. But if you ask me, okay, you can't use the Bible. I want you to prove you're God, and I'm granting you that evolution didn't happen. Can you do that? And I say, okay, here's my reasoning. I believe that there's a dichotomy. If it's either evolution did it or deity did it. Now I would like to tell you, since you granted that evolution is gone, let me tell you about the deity. But you can't, because you're like, I'm not granting you that. There's more than the 2 dichotomies. I said, okay, what is it? I don't know. That's there. If you can't see there's no information in that statement, how can we have a conversation? There's literally no information. And then every time you ask me a question, I could just say, it's this third thing that doesn't exist, or I don't have to prove that it exists, and that's the answer. It's this third thing that I can't describe or tell you about. That's just a cheap way of getting out of the argument. What is it?
Stand down. William's right. I'm going to stand down. I'm going to stand down a minute. I'm going to stand. I don't have a damn thing to prove to any one of you bitches in this chat. Let me tell you about me. Give me, whoa, darling. Give me 1 minute.
Go ahead,
Give me
Olive.
1 minute.
Go ahead.
I was a wife. I was a mother. And now I'm a Christian. After talking to this man, that's the closest I've been to my husband in a year. So I don't have a damn thing to prove to you, although I'm a published author and I'm about to retire. And when I do retire, I'm going to work on this little project. I'm not emotional, darling. I'm intellectual. You just don't like it. You don't like that I'm intelligent. That's what you don't like.
Ouch.
And I can assure you, if you said that to my face, because I was raised by a good old cowboy, when I got done teaching you a lesson, you'd have a hell of a lot more manners than your mama ever taught you.
Evil for evil, you do evil with love.
So
When I say that in all the love and ass whooping ways, you're going to get it. Stand down.
she has she put it out, so I kept it private until she come in my room and said it. But Harlow is a biologist, and they sent her in my room. It's actually on my video. You guys can go look at it. The first time her and I ever met, she's a biologist, And I was having a conversation with evidently another biologist. So they called her in here and said, hey, we want you to have a conversation with this guy because we were talking about ERVs or something like that. I'm mistaken at the time. So they sent Harlow in my room to debunk me. And now you don't have to agree with Christians on every single point. The big picture is Harlow gave her life to Christ now. She's a Christian. New Christian, but a Christian nonetheless. So if you guys want to keep sending these people to debunk me, and I'll keep trying to save them as best I can, bring them on.
Amen. Mother, daughter, if any, you just don't know. I dare any of you little mouthy rascals say something like that to somebody like my face and see what happens to you, because you will sit down.
You threatening
We're
people?
a different breed.
You threatening people?
No, that's a promise.
Oh, you promising people. I'd like for you to come keep that promise with me.
She's on your side, Joker. You're taking it wrong, Einstein. She's with us. She's talking about the people in the comments.
She don't sound like she is.
Oh, man, I just told you the story, man. What'd you not hear? She come in here and gave her life to Christ now.
I've had enough. And at this point, I've had enough of the rudeness.
Yeah.
You don't want to come up here and have an intellectual conversation and hush your mouth up in the comments. There's no sense.
Joker, she's not even talking to you, dude. She's talking to the people in the comments that's already up here. No disrespect, Joker, but she's not talking to you. She's talking to the individuals that have already that I've had up here that is being rude, and they're calling her out in the comments. So she's not talking to you, bro. Chill out.
Can I ask you a question, host?
Yeah, man.
Are you familiar with the work of Karl Baugh?
No, not that I'm aware of. What does he do?
Write it down. He was an evolutionary scholar, highly decorated. Karl Baugh, B-A-U-G-H, and he ran, I believe he's passed away, but he ran the Creation Evidences Museum out of Glen Rose, Texas, and he's responsible for a couple discoveries. Some of them tend to be discredited by the general scientific community. However, he did make several different discoveries that I would urge you to look into, but I wanted to point out a couple things.
Wait,
Number one.
His name wasn't Karl Baugh, the guy in Glen Rose, Texas. You got that name right? Unless there's another.
I'm pretty sure I do. Karl Baugh, yeah.
I think there's another guy in Glen Rose, Texas. And if you're talking about the Creation Museum, all right, go ahead. Now look it up.
Yeah, well, he pointed out a couple things. I mean, from a 50,000 foot level, it's kind of funny. Like evolution, to try to grasp your mind around it, is the equivalency of a whirlwind sweeping through a junkyard and assembling a Boeing 747 in flight out the other side. It's pretty hard to wrap your mind around. But more importantly, from a scientific standpoint, what are the years in between sedimentary layers? What do they claim that is?
Yeah, they claim millions, but it can't be if you have polystratofossils.
Right. So you have Karl Baugh does that work, and he actually excavated the fossil of a lepidodendron, which we know today as a fern that made its way through, I believe, 7 or 8 different sedimentary layers. So it's very important to take a look at. But Karl Baugh has a series of, I believe, 8 or 9 videos that are strictly and only scientific. There is no feeling or anything. It is. He went from an evolutionary scholar to a full-fledged Christian giving his life to Christ. And it is, from a scientific standpoint, it is absolutely damning. It opened my eyes to becoming a Christian, and giving my life to Jesus Christ and trusting in him for my salvation. So I just wanted to point that out. I like what you got going on.
May I ask you a question? So how was it so convincing to you? Because I have my own story as well. So if I may ask you, sir, what was so convincing to you?
She's talking to you, nerd.
Well, from the scientific standpoint, yeah, absolutely. From the scientific standpoint, it makes sense, right? I mean, single-handedly, the equivalency of the whirlwind sweeping through a junkyard and assembling a Boeing 747 in flight out the other side. Or he also gave the concept of taking the entire expanse of the universe, filling it with ping pong balls, giving one blindfolded man one chance to pick out that right ball. That's the equivalency. And then also, I love science. I'm a nerd.
Now we've gone, since you've lost on every other argument, Mother, now we're going into the resurrection after 3 days.
Yeah. You're taking a miracle and you're saying,
really, so let's go on and have this conversation.
You're taking a.
So I don't don't know the ins and outs of that, but if I was a deity and I was a celestial being, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have to explain it to somebody that was as intellectually.
Well, the problem that
proven to be.
the problem that people have is they want to take a deity. If you grant there's a deity, which I'm not saying everybody will, but clearly if you believe in God, there's a deity. And to say that that deity raised from the dead, now prove it through science, you couldn't. It's clearly classified as a miracle. Jesus literally made wine from grapes that never existed, that aged in a time that never was. So you could not claim that scientifically. But I would ask you, if we're talking about miracles, then you have to show me how life come from non-life. That's clearly a miracle. How something can bring forth after another kind, that's clearly a miracle. And you have to give me something other. You have to give me one example of genetic information gain. And what evolutionists do is you want to keep claiming that degradation. And I wish we could have got there, Mother. I think we could have had a good conversation, but you're too dishonest to have a good conversation with, because you, again, no disrespect, but you want to, when I say that there's a dichotomy and you go, no, there's not. And I say, okay, what's the third option? And you say, well, it's this third thing that we don't know about yet. There's no information in that statement. There's literally no way we can continue to have a conversation. There's no information in that statement. Again, I could do that.
Once said when I was published for the third time, he said, darling, you don't have anything left to prove.
Well, everybody was up here. They could see what happened. I kept her up for a long, long time and tried to move past it, but there's literally nothing in that conversation. There's no, what can we talk about? And I would not be intellectually dishonest. I would not do that to her. If she asked me a question like the question that she's asking here, could you prove that Jesus rose from the grave, quote unquote, scientifically? Well, without using the Bible, like she always says. Well, then I would say, no, not scientifically, because it's classified as a miracle. I could not prove that scientifically. And I could be intellectually honest enough to say that. But if I was answering like she would, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's this third thing that we don't know about, and that's how it happened. There's no information in that.
And so, by the way, Smarty Pants, my two publications. One is on the belief and the right in human euthanasia, and the studies that I did on serial killers. I'm actually hoping to end my career by dissecting one of their brains, so I can assure you that I am legitimately who I am. Yet I don't have to prove it to anyone, because I already proved it every day of my life.
Go ahead, AA Ron.
Yeah. I got to get out of here, but I appreciate the time and the conversations.
Yeah, man.
Two things. Definitely, God's definitely graced you and blessed you with patience, and I praise God for that. That takes a lot.
Yeah.
And secondly, moving forward too, just like other people here in the panel are saying, don't get too caught up into trying to explain yourself. I think that's some of the reason you do get upset. And I pray, I'll pray for you on that too, because at the end of the day, no matter who you are, God loves you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So,
true. Good point.
And secondly, another note for people that they keep arguing the flood and all this. You can't get fossils without the animals being rapidly buried in sediment, mud, silt, sand, whatever, and being covered in water. So the fossil record is actually evidence of a flood. And it was, I would say it's more of a cemetery that shows an evidence of a major disaster through the flood. You don't just have a deer lay out in the jungle and it turns into fossil. That's not how it works. So that's something for you guys to ponder if you're seeking God or wanting to seek God. And lastly, I'd just like to pray us out, or pray me out of here anyway. And for the rest of your life here, for anybody that, Father, I pray that anyone that is trying to seek you and the fellowship we have as Christians, Father, make that stronger. Father, let us always bless you and give you praise for the blessings you give us. Please, Father, if there's someone in this chat, may your work be done, may your will be done, that they come and seek you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good job, brother. Yeah, so I do. I'm sorry. Yeah, man, appreciate it. Yeah, I do kind of over-explain myself sometimes, but then again, I don't want to. The reason why I do that is I don't want an echo chamber. I want people to come in here that disagree with me, and I like having good conversations with them. They're few and far between. Ever, I can't see the rest of your name.
Yeah, that's cool. My name's Everett. Yeah, so I just wanted to make a comment on behalf of the evolutionary biologist. I think when he was talking about the experiment with the amino acids, I'm pretty sure he wasn't saying like literally like they never did it again ever. I think he was generally making a statement that it's pretty accepted that it's an outdated explanation.
Thank you, because you said you stated and you said experiment.
Yeah,
neither are facts.
Right. And I get that, but that wasn't his contention at first. He come up and act like I was dishonest. That's the problem that I had. That's why I got contentious. I'm not going to claim that somebody's dishonest until I can let them get something out, right? I will try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But he did come up and claim that I was being dishonest to people, and I'm not. That is what the theory teaches. It's not what what his class and teaching in evolutionary biologist. But then again, you have to understand that evolutionary biologists start with abiogenesis, and that's what his claim was. Okay, but don't say that I'm being dishonest about the theory about how it got here, then became abiogenesis. I'm not being dishonest about it. That is what it teaches.
Like, I'm not very educated on abiogenesis, and so I can't really comment on that topic much. But I am not convinced that there was a global flood. That's the reason why I wanted to come up.
What are you educated on?
Sure.
Not much. I have a high school diploma.
You're fine, brother.
Okay. Some of the smartest people I know have high school diplomas.
Yeah.
Why are you not convinced on a global flood?
I just think the logistics of it, that just don't really make sense to me. I mean, like
logistics
about the global flood is how did
guys,
Seychelles
let
and all that wind up on the top of Mount Everest?
Guys, I got
high mountains.
Joker. Let him finish the question, and then I'll try to answer it for him.
I know what you mean, man. I've heard that question a ton of times. One of the first things I'll start with is like the amount of water it would require. I mean, I think we have something like 320 million cubic miles of water on Earth, and if we're taking the Bible literally, that the water covered the highest of mountains under the whole heaven, then that would mean that the water level would have to, or sea level would have to rise above Mount Everest, which require like
three. Baby, because I'm actually a teacher, so let's consider a couple of things, right? I mean, neither one of us were alive during that time, correct? So we didn't have the lay of the land. We didn't know what that particular world looked like, and you got to consider the water that is up underneath the soil and up underneath the tectonic plates, because people love to come to me with that particular thing. So you have no idea exactly what this world looked like. Because I remember the first time somebody told me that Eve lived to be 600 years old, I told them they were about the stupidest them ever I ever had a conversation. However, after doing some research, the fact of the matter is something changed. Something dramatically changed from this cataclysmic event. None of us on this panel can deny that, because this particular story has been told and retold in different nationalities, different cultures all over the world. So if it wasn't legitimate on some level, when they didn't have the internet, when they didn't have the ability to do exactly what the few of us are doing here on an intellectual polite panel, how can we disprove it would be my question. Disprove it.
Yeah, well, let's just talk about the water a little bit. I know what you mean about
your question about the water. There is enough water underneath the tectonic plates to do it. That's your answer.
I got you. Let me add to that, and then I promise you I'll let you slide. So let me tell you what the Bible says about it first, because Harlow's right. It talks about the pre-flood world was obviously totally different, and when you say there's not enough water, then like you said, it has to go over Mount Everest. But again, Mount Everest wasn't there. So the Bible says in the book of Psalms, Bear, I'm going to mute you up, man. You got a lot of background noise. The Bible says in the book of Psalms that at the end of the floods, the mountains arose and the valleys sank down. Bear, you got a lot of background noise, man. I muted you once. I don't want to have to do it again. Okay, brother? So the Bible says at the end of the flood, the mountains arose and the valleys sank down. So when you say there's not enough water now on the earth to cover the entire earth to go over Mount Everest, that would be true, but you're believing that Mount Everest was there. The Bible says that Mount Everest wasn't there until after the flood as it went down. So the Bible model goes like this. It rained for 40 days and for 40 nights, but it clearly states in the beginning, you can say I don't believe it, but you can't say the Bible doesn't teach it. It teaches that there was a layer of water. It says that he founded the land on the water. And then it says that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, but the water continued to rise for over 150 days. So where did the water come from? Well, the Bible says the fountains of the deep broke open. This means the water from underneath the crust of the earth come out on top of the crust. The crust got heavy because there's nothing under it to support it anymore. The water's clearly heavy. This causes the continents to literally break, right? So the valleys sink down and the mountains arise. As the water goes off to the low parts, the valleys sink down, the mountains arise. We can make some predictions off of this flood model. If the mountains arise and the valleys sink down, then the mountains should follow the coastlines, meaning which way the water went. And I'm going to show you this right here. This is a world map. Let me turn this camera around here. This is a world map of all the mountain ranges, if I can get this off. So here's the mountain ranges. It's not exactly perfect. There are a couple of mountain ranges like here that don't necessarily follow a coastline. But look, the vast majority of the mountain ranges all over the planet literally follow the coastline.
Yeah.
So this would help. This is what would prove in a flood model. The mountains arose and the valley sank down. So yes, there's more than enough water underneath in the oceans now
So William,
to
real
cover
quick,
the world.
real quick, where is Mount Everest? Since that's a bone condition.
Yeah, it's up in here somewhere.
So it's one of the ones that goes
Right.
crossways.
Right in here. Yeah.
That's interesting to me as a scientist.
Yeah, and it does follow this coastline. There's a little bit of a jet right there, but clearly it still follows the majority of the coastline. This one right here doesn't really follow a coastline, and this one right here doesn't really follow a coastline. So it's not 100%, but it's very
That one
near.
ends in a coastline,
Yeah, it's very near.
and that one mimics another.
Yep.
So, I get what you're saying. I noticed the pattern, but I mean, to me, I would just say that's subduction zones. You know what I mean? That's
What zones?
Just to
that's
add on,
subduction zones.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but which one lines up better? If we're using Occam's razor, which yours is a coincidence, mine's a prediction.
Well, I don't think that you can always invoke Occam's razor. I don't think it's like a win every time type situation, because I mean,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
obviously, but like there are times that you have to look at things from an evidentiary basis rather than, hey, this map looks like
Okay.
something
That's a
could
great
be
question.
this, but I can't really explain the science behind why it's this way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So can I give you an example that would use Occam's razor?
Okay.
How about dinosaur graveyards? Like the Hells Creek Formation that goes, like I said, from the northern parts of Texas all the way up into Canada. And we know that in floods sort things out by body density type. I say body density type because it's the animals, but density type. You see this in the largest trash heap out floating in the Atlantic now. And you see this in floods now. It naturally sorts things out. So is it more logical that these dinosaurs that lived in this swampy area of basically the same body density type, you find Triceratops, you find Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you find the duck-billed dinosaurs for the most part inside this formation. And the formation, like I said, covers several states. So is it more likely that these animals unalived 99% of the time without their children around, again, maybe not 100, but more than 99% of the time, they don't have their children around. It's like they were running from higher waters or got sorted out in the flood. They unalived in this swampy area, started to decay, and after various states of decay was then covered up rapidly by sediment to cause fossilization? Or is it more likely that they unalived, were grouped together like they would be in a flood, they were laid down in this huge bone bed, or this huge graveyard, excuse me, and as the water receded, after they floated around several months and started to decay, they got laid down and then the sediment washed over them and caused fossilization, which is exactly what you would need for fossils to form. So Occam's razor, which one is it? That they kept dying, they kept unaliving one at a time in a swamp, decaying and then covered up in a flood? Or is it more likely that they unalived in a flood?
So I would be able to give you a better answer if I were a little more educated on that topic. But I mean, to be honest, again, I think this is one of those situations where Occam's razor is never going to be a win every time situation. It's there are things that even if it doesn't seem logical, It's more so where the evidence points is what matters the most.
Well, doesn't
and so that's
I would say the evidence
that's
clearly
where
points to a flood.
You can't point evidence at an atmosphere or a landscape that you didn't have an original map to. You
Okay, yeah,
cannot
so
do
I
that
just
because
wanna
we
talk
did not
about-
know what it looked like.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the water a little bit. So I mean, you're
Now you want to talk about the water because
I
you
get
got
it.
disproved on landscape. So let's talk
no,
about
ma'am.
water.
It's because water was the original.
I got you. Go with your water, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure the idea about Mount Everest appearing after. What do you think the tallest mountain was that the Bible was describing at that time?
No clue.
No clue. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Time, we don't have a map of what the landscape looked like prior to the flood. How many times do I need to spell that out for you, syllable or like with nouns? Like, how do I need to like
All right, Harlow.
trace it out for you? There's no way we don't have a map of what it looked like the day that it happened. We don't have that.
So generally, we can assume that the highest mountain of the lands was probably fairly tall still.
Okay.
This would require still orders of magnitude more than just the water that's in our oceans alone, right? I mean, and let's just assume Mount Everest, right? That would require like 3 to 4 times the volume of water that we currently have in the oceans.
Let me ask you a
Right.
question on your mountains. Is there any example?
Came from above the firmament and below the
Hold
earth.
on, brother. Let me ask you this question
I don't
about.
believe in flat Earth.
I got you. Let me.
Well, that's what it did. That's what happened.
Hold on, man. I'm not doing the flat Earth stuff again tonight. Okay. So we got mountain ranges, right? So let me ask you this here. Do we have, or are you aware? Do we have any examples of mountain ranges that formed like sediments, and then what is it? Washing away of what's this? I forget the name of that. My brain ain't working today. But it's slowly carving out into mountains. Or do we see that the mountain ranges are the sediments that literally jump up out of the ground at an angle?
Erosion is the word you're
Erosion. Thank you. I could not thank you. Yeah, it was it was escaping me. So do we see flat layers of sediment build up, and then mountains form out of the erosion, and then we see the layers going this way in a mountain? Or is it that we see the mountain ranges, the sediments always go at an angle, and this is the tip of the mountain, but the sediments go this way, meaning that the mountains literally broke up and formed because they broke up like this?
That would
Right.
make sense. That would
I
make
really
scientific sense that something would come together and push up.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
which
I really wish I could give you a better answer on that. It's really not my point of specialty.
That's
why
fine.
Mountains and stuff.
I would just encourage you to do a Google search of mountains and just look at whenever you see the stratification. I don't want to put a disclaimer out there and say all of them, but look, just Google it, mountains, and you will see the stratification layers always go at an angle. Now, most evolutionists will say, yeah, because the continents broke into each other and this is what caused the mountains to form. So the Bible mentioned that before evolutionists ever got a hold of it, or before any geological column ever said this is how mountains are formed. The Bible said it before they did.
But you're a Bible believer. I'm a Bible believer, and you guys are talking about dinosaurs, right?
I mean, I mentioned them, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, what exactly is the topic? Because if you're talking about the flood wiping out dinosaurs, I was just wondering what you thought about why dinosaurs weren't on the ark in the first place.
Well, they were. We see them mentioned in the book of Job, which is after the flood. So you can't mention it if they didn't get off the ark, right? So dinosaurs were after the flood.
What verses were that?
Say it. What now?
What verses were those? Where
Job.
dinosaurs were mentioned?
Sure. Job 40 says, "Behold now Behemoth, he is the chief of the ways of God. He eateth the grass as the ox. His bones are like strong pieces of brass and iron."
You're
His
talking about the behemoth and the leviathan, right?
Well-
Job 41 too.
Those weren't ever specified as dinosaurs.
Well, the only thing that would fit, the only reason I said Behemoth, because Leviathan's a little bit different. I do believe it was a dinosaur type animal too, but it's different. Leviathan, the only thing that fits it is a sauropod dinosaur. It says that it has a tail like a cedar tree. So there's only, and the cedar trees of Lebanon, of that area, are literally on their flag. It is the biggest trees, right? It is some of the biggest trees ever. So it's not just any tree that this animal's tail's being compared to. So it's the chief of the ways of God. It's one of the biggest animals God made. It can drink up a river. Its strength is in the navel of its belly. Its bones are like strong pieces of iron and brass, and it has a tail as big as a cedar tree, and it can drink up the Jordan River. So clearly, the only thing that fits that is a sauropod dinosaur.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say that those two creatures are two specific creatures that God created, and my understanding is the difference between them and dinosaurs is dinosaurs were animal Nephilim that went out in the flood because all the Nephilim were wiped out because of the flood.
What do you think the Nephilim were?
Half man, half fallen angel.
Bible
Also
doesn't.
half plant, half fallen angel.
Bible
And
doesn't.
also
Bible does not, brother. The Bible.
Book of Enoch specifies in Genesis.
The
5
Bible, brother. The Bible does not say that. You have to go to the book of Enoch to get that, and Enoch is not canonical.
Genesis 6 actually says it.
It does not. It does, guys. We have to be very intellectually honest with what the Bible, and this is one of the topics that Christians love. I call it the Christian Bigfoot because everybody loves the topic, but nobody really studies it. The word Nephilim is only mentioned twice. And the second time in Numbers, it's actually referring back to the first time in Genesis. And I can show you that the Nephilim in Numbers is not talking about the same thing because it literally refers to them as humans and it calls them the son of Anak, right? So it's really only, hold on. It's really only mentioned one time. And guess what? It does not say that they're the half-breeds of human and angel getting together. It does not say that.
But you can trace the sons of Enoch back to one of the sons of Noah.
In the Bible, Enoch is mentioned twice. So
Can I say something?
Yes, yes, hold on. Yes, Enoch is mentioned in the Bible, but again, just because something is mentioned, it's true that it's in the Bible. But what the Bible says about it is that it's not true. So you got to be careful about getting these doctrines because it's in the Bible. You can get a doctrine of slavery because it's in the Bible, and that's not. But the Bible teaches against it.
Okay, what did the Bible say about Enoch in Genesis?
It just quotes one of the verses or something that's in Enoch. It doesn't say anything quote unquote about it.
God so closely that he didn't even die.
Are you talking about the book of Enoch or the person in Enoch? Because you just asked two questions.
That's in Genesis chapter 5 when it goes to.
Listen to me very carefully. Okay. I understand that the Bible talks about Enoch. I'm talking about the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch was not written by Enoch. It come years later. The Jews knew this. That's why they carried the book of Enoch. They copied it, but it's not canonical. It's not part of the Torah. It's not part of the Psalms, and it's not part of the prophets. So the book of Enoch might be an interesting read, but no one in the history of Hebrew Jews, it's only this new age Christian stuff where people start to say we should go look at the book of Enoch. It might be a nice read, but it's not biblical. It's not scripture.
Okay, so what? Have you read it?
No, it's not scripture. I don't want to read it. Even if it might be a good read, I can't take nothing out of it because it's not scripture, and it was never considered scripture. So why would I care what it said?
Well, there's evidence some of the New Testament writers are drawn from it.
What about, so you don't believe anything that's not in the Bible?
About the Bible? No, if it's not in the Bible, what are you
saying that if it's not directly in the Bible, you don't believe it?
No, that's not true either. But if there's a story if there is a story in the Bible that talks about the sons of God found the daughters of women to be attractive, and it took for them wives. Sons of God, it's called Ben Ha Elohim, and it's mentioned Ben A Elohim. It's mentioned twice in the Bible, once in the book of Job and then once in the book of Genesis. And this does not only refer to as angels. People say this is angels. It could be angels. It could be. I'm not saying that it couldn't be.
It's the offspring of fallen angels and men.
No, Ben Ha Elohim is either referring to if guys, stop. Ben Ha Elohim is either it's either angels or that's called the sons of God, right? That's what it's referring to. The sons of God. That's what Ben Ha Elohim is. It's either angels or it's different men. The Nephilim, it's only mentioned really once in the Bible in Genesis. And guess what? They were here before. They're not the offspring. Let me show you. I'll go there really quickly because this irritates me with Christians because Christians just believe this stuff. I'll go there. Hold on. Let me pull up my Bible here. Man, my stuff is slow today.
I would just like to point something out about the Book of Enoch, about it. It's one of the more prominent books about God, and resurface as one of the more famous ones.
All right, so we go to.
That's the problem. That's actually happening right now.
Right. Let's.
Hey.
They were. Oh, hold on, brother. You got some background noise there, brother. It says there were giants in the earth in those days. That's the word Nephilim. The word giants right there is the word Nephilim. It's really the only time outside of Numbers that this is mentioned. And again, Numbers is going back, so I can show you that if you want me to. There were giants in the.
Right before that, though.
What?
It says that the angels slept with the daughters of men.
No, it doesn't. Stop. Let me read it. And I'm on the verse. Let me read it. It does not say that. It says, there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
Men of renown. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Okay. Listen to me, brother. Listen to me very carefully. I want you to stop thinking what you're thinking and just listen to the verse. There were giants in the earth in those days, Nephilim. There were Nephilim in the earth in those days, and also after that. What do you mean after? After what? What's the after that we're talking about here? After that. Well, it says there's a comma right there. So the after that is when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them. So this is saying that those Nephilim were here before the sons of God came. Brother, listen to me. I'm trying to be very patient with you, okay? The sons of God were here before the son. So you got me twisted up. The Nephilim were here before the sons of God had any children with women. That's what that verse right there says.
That's not what it says.
Okay, I'll read it again. They were.
I've read it many times.
Then why did you just say that's not what it says? There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Brother.
Before the flood and after the flood.
Stop.
Can I chime in?
No, give me a second. Let me see if I can get this guy to hear this, because he's saying that's not what he said. The verse says the exact opposite. Right. Listen to it again. There were Nephilim, brother. There were Nephilim in the earth in those days. Also, after that, when the sons of God mated with women and had children, the Nephilim were here before, according to that verse.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, now it's yes. So the Nephilim are not the offspring. It does not say before the flood.
The context is the flood. It's definitely the flood. But can I say something, please?
No, stop. No. We're not moving on from this, because people this irritates me so bad. The context is not the flood.
What's so confusing, brother?
Because you're not listening. It's not the flood. We know what the context is. The context in this verse, because we have a comma, the context in this verse is that they're having children, not before and after in those days. It doesn't say flood. It's not talking about flood. The flood context comes after this. The flood context comes after this.
The days of Noah. The days of Noah. That's the context.
Okay, I'll read it. I'll read it from the start. I will read it from the start, and you tell me when the flood comes in. All right. And it came to pass that that when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. No flood context. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking.
I'm answering your question.
It's not a question. It's not a question. I want you to right here. And the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, every which one they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for there also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and bare them children unto them. The same became mighty men of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man, that it was great upon the earth, and every imagination of his heart was evil continuously. Then it repented the Lord that he had made the earth, and he that's when you start to see right here, verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created. So please do not tell me, brother.
The flood.
Okay, so verse 4 is not the context of the flood, because we haven't got to the flood yet. Verse 4.
Chapter 6, correct?
You gotta. The thing is, chapter 6 is. Do you believe it's mentioned in two different ages? We got an age before the flood and an age after. That's in the context of the chapter.
Right.
So
no.
the writer knows this when he's writing the chapter.
Right. When you're talking about, I don't know what you mean by ages, right? It's talking about the time period. The first thing that's brought up, again, the Bible was written for us. It wasn't written to us. So we don't understand everything that this is mentioning. The people at the time did, and we see it referenced again in Numbers like they understood it. But clearly there's not enough information here. But we know that verses 1, 2, 3, and 4 is basically about the sons of God coming down and finding the daughters of women attractive. When I say coming down, it doesn't say that. It just says the sons of God found the daughters of women. The context here is about them. It's about the humans. It's about humans. I can show you.
Genesis 5 straightens all that out.
Yeah, Genesis 5 straightens it out before we get to 6.
1, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the middle of 5 is when we get to Noah, right? You get to the begotten, and then after Noah is the flood.
Brother, this verse right here in 4.
And then chapter 6.
I don't want you to run. I don't want you to go nowhere else. Right here in verse 4.
Chapter 6 goes
Nope.
into detail about it.
In verse 4 right here, it says there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that when. So if you would read it like this, I'm not changing the verse. This is exactly the context of it. It says there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Let's read what it's saying and put it in chronological order. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that when men was marrying angels and having half offspring, if you want to use that context. So that shows that the Nephilim were here before before they started mating. It does not say the Nephilim become mighty men of old. That's not what it says. Again, read it. There were giants in the earth in those days. And after that also, what's after that? When women and angels mated, if you want to go with that context. Say no.
That's not the before and after context.
Then tell me how it says that when it says after that. Also after that. How am I wrong on that?
Well, even in the creation story, doesn't it go all the way through in the creation story, and then the next chapter it kind of zooms in, so it gives you the whole thing.
I get you guys. I want to. This is the. Stop. I want this verse right here. This is the. You can't say that this is talking about. I will go through as to why the flood was not here to destroy the Nephilim in a minute. I don't want a rabbit trail. You made a claim that I'm wrong on this verse right here. This verse says that they were giants before and after this union.
The flood wasn't okay. I see where you're getting confused. The flood wasn't specifically sent to destroy just the.
If you say the word flood one more time, I know you're not listening, and I'm going to kick you because stop saying flood. Nobody's talking about a flood. We haven't got to the flood yet. If you say flood, brother, I promise you, you're gone because I know you're not listening. This is before the flood. We're not talking about the flood. Get the flood out of your head. There's no flood yet.
You just said so. You agree it's before the flood. That's what you just said.
All right. Have a good day. Get off my page. Absolutely ridiculous.
I too am going to go to bed. You have wore me out. I
Yeah.
gave you all I have to give.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go make dinner for my wife before she gets home from work.
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? I got a little different question. We don't need to beat that dead horse, but that's fine. With Second Peter, I think it's Second Peter, specifically chapter 2, verse 4, where these angels that sinned were cast into hell and delivered them into chains of darkness. Where is that at in the Old Testament?
So, I didn't hear the whole question. Say it again.
I'm sorry. Second Peter, I guess, chapter 2, verse 4.
Okay.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, it's talking about some angels that sinned,
Okay.
but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved until judgment. And it goes into a little bit of detail about what they did, compares it to Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, they lusted after strange flesh. But anyways, where do you see that at in the Old Testament? Like, where's Peter getting this from?
No clue.
I believe he's getting it from the book of Enoch.
Maybe.
Yeah. And Jude as well. I think Jude quotes directly from it.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Here's what we know. This is my stance. Let me make my stance very clear. Could that portion in Genesis 6, could it be fallen angels come down and mated with women? Yes, it could. That is a clear translation. That could be it. Does it say that? No, it doesn't. And we have to be intellectually honest. You have to go outside the Bible in an effort to get that. It does not say that. It says the sons of God. That's not there. They had words for angels. Angels are mentioned in the Old Testament. In Hebrew, they have angels, but they did not call them angels. They said sons of God. Does that mean angel?
The angels are Elohim. They're just lower. That's why they call them sons of God, sons of Elohim.
Yeah, but men are also called sons of God. David was called a son of God. Jesus was called a son of God. They're also not referred to as angels. So we have now, like I said, James, it could be that is a fair translation because sometimes they're referred to as angels. Sometimes they're not. So we cannot say that this verse, when it says the Nephilim, and here's what I was trying to show him. This is what we do know. The Nephilim are not the offspring of the angel and the person getting, even if I grant you and say, okay, this is what the Bible says. The Bible says that angels come down and mated with women. The angel and the woman offspring became mighty men of old. The verse says that. That's what they became. But the Nephilim were here before and after that. So the offspring are not Nephilim. That's what the verse says. It says there were giants in the earth in those days.
Before and after. I believe the author is demonstrating that before that. You don't want me to say the F word, so that's what I see.
Well, brother, I had it enough with him. You're free. I'm not going to just kick you for saying the word.
No, it's all good. But I would also encourage you you said the sons of Anak, and you're spot on with that. The Nephilim, you got the different tribes, the Zazu Mims, all the M's, right? The Caleb and Joshua were taken out. I would encourage you to try to find if you can trace any of those sons of Anak or Anak back to one of the sons of Noah. I don't think you can do it because I think it happened after as well. I think this is Genesis 6 is.
Yeah, but now you got a problem where the Bible lied. You got a problem where it said that.
Yeah, just give me what you're talking about.
Where it says that God destroyed all flesh. If the Nephilim survived, then He didn't destroy all flesh.
They did
right?
it again. The angels did it again. That's what it's saying in Genesis 6.
Okay, that's it. Well, but that's Genesis 6 is before the flood. So, I mean, you could say that they did it again after, but the Bible.
Breaking it into two parts, like I described, like ages. You know how they talk about ages to come. I just think that the narrator or whoever's writing this.
But we also
privy to the before and after.
I get it.
Give you the context.
But we also, the reason why, in my opinion, why we also know that the numbers, when it talks about the Nephilim and numbers, it's not talking about, it's referring back to this in an effort to scare the Jews. It's not saying that these are actual Nephilim. And the reason why I can get that is because you had a good report. Joshua went in there and said, yeah, we can take the land. There's no problem. We can take it. And it said they're mighty people. But when people says that we were grasshoppers in their sight, I wish they would read the first part of that verse where at first it says we were grasshoppers in our own sight. So there were not Nephilim. So it says we were grasshoppers in our own sight and we were grasshoppers in their sight. So that's literally not meaning a size thing. It's not, because you can't be grasshoppers in your own sight. That would mean it can't be a size thing. So clearly they're using semantic language saying that these individuals are very strong, they're very mighty, and in an effort to scare everybody, they told the other Jews, hey, these are the Nephilim. But we know they're using semantic language because Joshua said, yeah, we can go in there and take them, no problem. And guess what? They did. They went in there and took the land. Not then, later, 40 years later, but they ended up taking the land, right? So it clearly wasn't a half-breed of angel and people.
All right, man, that's cool. I respectfully disagree, but yeah, that's kind of what I came up for to ask too, because just dealing with the dinosaur aspect, right? I agree the Behemoth and Leviathan is a valid thing to prove dinosaurs that were created, right? You could have different breeds if they actually found fossils that are slightly different in size or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even when you look into, I believe the book of Enoch and I believe Jasher, some bits or lore and some are actually accurate. But Enoch actually mentions, I know you don't believe it, I'll just mention it. Yeah. Enoch mentions that these hybrids, actually the angels they were mixing animals. It says it in Enoch 7 and it mentions it in Jasher 4 that they were mixing animals. So I mean, it's just one thing to consider. I know you don't lean that way. That's fine. Well, I was just coming up see which way you're leaning.
No, man, I appreciate it. I think it's a good conversation. And again, I just want to make sure I reiterate my point. The problem that I have with the Nephilim conversation is people get these grandiose ideas that the Bible just doesn't say. They're like experts on it. The word Nephilim is literally only mentioned twice. And one of the times, in my opinion, I think I've laid that out, is clearly referring back to the first one. And the Ben Ha Elohim is only mentioned twice. It's technically mentioned 4 times, but literally in Genesis, it's referring back to the first time it mentions it. And the book of Job is referring back to the first time it mentioned it. So really, it's only mentioned twice. So we get these grandiose ideas that say the angels come down and mated with women, and the Bible just does not say that. And people say that's what it says. And then I hear, well, that's why God, the Nephilim corrupted the fallen angels corrupted the DNA of man, and that's why God had to destroy the earth. That is so far unbiblical, it's not even funny. The Bible doesn't say that at all. Hello?
You do have other sources like Josephus that actually says those are plainly angels,
I love you.
not sons of Seth or whatever. So there are other literature in the first century that actually support it. I think one of the church fathers actually mentioned it as well.
Yeah, I get, but
which one,
here's what we know about the flood. It was not to destroy this corrupted DNA. The Bible just says the exact opposite of that. It literally says in verse 5, and the wickedness of man was great upon the earth, and every imagination of his heart was evil continuously. And he repented that he made the Lord, and the Lord said, I will destroy the man whom I have created. It does not say anything about corrupted DNA or fallen angels. And that's the problem that I have is so many Christians they tell each other this and are like, yeah, as in the days of Noah, so will be then. So these fallen angels, and I've heard these arguments, they're going to come back and corrupt DNA again. Well, that's not what the verse is. That's not what that verse says either, right? Yeah.
When it says the days of Noah, Jesus is talking about they were getting in marriage,
Yep.
and just going along.
But
Yeah,
brother,
so that's out of context.
I hear this stuff all the time that people get this wild, fanciful viewpoints.
Right.
And here's again, I'm going to reiterate it, then I'm going to bow out. The Bible just does not say that. You have to go to extra canonical books that's not scripture to say that angels come down and married women. It does not say that. And people think that it does. And they think that it created this half angel, half human breed called the Nephilim, and it does not say that. It says the Nephilim were here before that.
Mm-hmm. And I would just say, it's definitely, you mentioned that it's definitely possible. So you would agree that when angels, like in the Old Testament, came down and visited Abraham and stuff, they did eat and do stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah. So, I mean, the digestive system and all that requires a lot of, saliva and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not, I'm just saying it's possible that they can take on